was driving in through the gates, and on the left-hand side, it says Home of the Soldier. And all I remember is, it's just got real.
Welcome back to the Reg Walk podcast, here to give real people a platform to share their real stories in their own voice. Guys, today we've got a very special guest sitting in the studio today. We've got Heath Toon from Team Tooney Fishing. Tooney, mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm fucking fantastic. We finally got this going after a few takes, but we're here, we're ready and raring to go.
Mate, it's almost been like that from the start, just trying to even tee up times where both of us can get in. It's good to finally be here.
Yeah, mate, and even like meeting up, because like I was saying to you before off air, like I didn't even realise that you were in Queensland. I thought you were a Sydney boy.
From Sydney, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so you're from Sydney.
Yeah.
I didn't realise you were actually living in Queensland right now.
Oh, mate, why would I stay down there? I keep trying to get everybody up here. Yeah. I'm like, just, if it wasn't for the people, I probably wouldn't go back.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
You're a dirty blue supporter, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, fuck. All right. That's been another episode. I'll see. No, I'm joking. Mate, super keen to have you on. Obviously, like you said, we've been trying to tee this up and, I reached out to you to come on for an episode after sort of putting out a post about, getting stickers and all that sort of stuff. And so, and like I said, I didn't realize you live so close. So I'm like, mate, why don't you just drop the stickers off and come off for an episode? But you ended up sending them anyway, and I think I checked the mailbox and the message like, fuck, mate, I didn't even realise you sent them.
Mate, well, by the time I run around, like, obviously family, kids, you know what it's like. I was like, you know what? I've probably got a better chance of just getting it there by post anyway.
Yep.
And get them in there and get them out. Actually, you weren't the only one. I had someone who ordered a hat who lived the next suburb over, and they're like, why did you not just bring this? And I'm like, because it's easier for me to just get it done, tick it off the list. Otherwise, it'll sit on my chair and I'll totally forget about it, come back a week later and be like, oh, I should have sent that.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, let's get stuck into your story, because I did a bit of research today, and I listened to your episodes with Knuckles from Proper Tree Yarn.
Yep.
Just the little snippets that you did there, but I really want to tackle your story and sort of what you've been about, because even from, I know you were in the army, you've moved from New South Wales to God's country, like, I want to find out everything. So, mate, sorry. Let's go back to young Tooney, mate. Tell us where you grew up, how your childhood was, and how schooling was for you.
Yeah, good, actually. I grew up in Penrith, born and grew up around that region. Sort of moved a bit here and there within the same region, though. The old man was a butcher by trade, owned quite a few stores and shops, ran them all himself down that way. And mum was in retail and went to school in that area, yeah.
Yep. So obviously, mum and dad, having the jobs, and did you have any siblings?
Yes. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Old man's been married 2, 3, 4 times.
Copy.
I have a family forest, not a tree. Okay.
I've never heard that before. That's amazing.
So, my mum was married 3.
Yep.
They had myself and my sister. Then dad's first marriage, my older brother. Dad's second marriage, second oldest brother and older sister. And then mum remarried and had another little brother.
Fuck.
Then dad remarried and now he's still with her. So I have 4 halves, 1 full sister.
Okay.
But none of us consider each other halves, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The older one sort of came through with us a little bit as we went. And then it's funny because you hear a lot of people talk about, like we said, army earlier, military tradition. A lot of families can be a traditional military family. That sort of started with our generation. So I was the first to go in.
Yep.
And then the eldest joined, and then the second eldest joined.
Yeah,
so we sort of started that military tradition style family from there.
Yep. How was schooling for you?
I actually really loved it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I've heard a couple of people talk on your podcast where they're like, year 10, we're out.
Yeah.
I went through to high school. I ended up being school captain. During primary school, I was playing footy locally for, at the time, I think it was Mitchinbury Jets. So I'd played rugby league around the region as a junior. Growing up, I played since I was about 4. Then in year 6, I got a scholarship offer to go to St. Pat's in Blacktown. So Stephen Crichton went there. It's produced a number of different players. And it's funny that now I mention it because I was watching a TV show the other day of the CEO of Panthers, and it was actually him who picked me to go to that school.
Yeah, right.
Back in we're talking 2005.
Yep.
So I went there for a year, and then I got Jack of the Travel. It was an all-boys school. All my mates were 40 minutes away at my local school. And I was doing all this travel back and forth and ended up getting over it. So I decided to come back in year 8 and kick on high school with everybody else.
Yeah. Just sort of touching on like the family side before we sort of delve more into schooling, but like what's the age gap between the oldest and the youngest?
13 years up. And then my younger brother's I'm probably the dead set middle.
Right, okay.
Of either or. My full sister's 3 years younger than me.
Okay. And she's the full youngest, or?
No, there's one below her.
Okay.
But on mum's side.
Was it always like, did you, obviously you weren't all living together, but like when there were times where like most of you were together, is it just?
Kind of. So the eldest was with my old man, so he came through with everybody. And then the other two, to Dad's second wife, they stayed with mum, but we saw them relatively like every now and then. And then we had my youngest brother, obviously when my parents split, mum remarried, and then we grew up.
How was that for you? Because obviously, like, a lot of I'm going to say normal families, but like families that sort of stay together, they grow up all together. But for you, like, that would have been a bit of a, I don't know, like different sort of thing because you're going from place to place, or?
I don't think I really understood it.
Okay.
Young, you know what I mean? It was always just, that's your brother, that's your sister.
Yep.
That's how it was. It probably wasn't until my parents divorced that it got ugly, you know what I mean? Like, I remember...
How old were you when they divorced?
Oh, about 8.
Yeah, okay.
From memory.
Still relatively young.
Yeah. And then I remember, like, doing the old Macca's drop-off. It'd be, you go there, jump ship, come back, and just doing the whole handover thing. I wasn't really a fan of it, but what can you do? It was the way the courts managed it. But then it got really dirty, too. I remember sometimes there was, like, a parent would buy that set of clothes. Well, they stay here because you'll leave them there, and it could get really messy, which it was bad at the time, but to see how full circle it's come now, where everyone can be in the room and be amicable is good for my kids, at least.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's how they now get to see it.
Yep.
They don't see what it was like for all of us.
Like when you guys were
growing up. Yeah, exactly right.
Yep. So going into school, mate, like when we get asked this question, a lot of the times, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? What was that for you?
It's actually a really bad name, but it means nothing like what it sounds like. Pretty much from primary school all the way through to close to year 10, I wanted to be a herpetologist. What
the fuck is that?
A reptile scientist.
Okay.
So I've always been into snakes, lizards.
Why don't they just call it a reptilologist?
Well, it could be named way better.
Yeah.
But in the parks that some previous speakers have spoken about down in Erskine Park, we'd go down there every afternoon. We wouldn't come home till it was dark, just catching lizards, chasing snakes. It was just the thing we did down there. I also did work experience at Taronga Zoo.
Okay.
So my stepdad worked there.
Yep.
And was able to, I applied for it and got accepted for it. Whether he had a hand in it or not, I don't know. But did some work experience there in year 10 and really got the gist of it. And that's where I turned off it, surprisingly. So being behind closed doors, it's not like the exhibits in the front where patrons see. Behind doors, it's just got brown snake, tick, doors locked, and all that sort of jazz. So whilst the experience working there was cool, the shine sort of come off the job from what they do compared to like people I looked up to, like Steve Irwin back in the day. What he was doing in the field was probably more the angle that appealed to me than the zoology side of things.
Yeah, but you can imagine like he would have had to have gone through that sort of stuff to get to where he was at that time.
And his old man owned the zoo,
yep,
which he then took on. So a little bit different exposure, but that's sort of where I ended up closing the door on wanting to be in that profession. And I sort of ended up then going towards the military. That happened roughly around year 10, year 11 as well. I won a defence scholarship through year 11 and 12. And what really drew me to that was I got involved in politics. So around year 11, I got involved with the federal member for Penrith.
Yep.
and started getting heavily involved in politics. And then the sort of shift changed from herpetology into politics and wanting to go down that route. And I just went full dive into it. I loved it. I had a full access pass around Canberra, around Parliament House.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, well, what credibility do I have as a year 11, year 12 student to be in politics? And that's what drew the military interest for me, was that I was like, okay, well, I'll go serve and then I'll have something to show when I go into politics that I'm here for more than just doing the job. So the politics sort of rubbed off through high school. Once again, I went and got elected, I guess you could say, into school captain at school. And then I continued through politics, and I noticed that we didn't have a sports field. A lot of other schools had dedicated sports fields. So I then lodged and kick-started the application to get a grant for funding for a sports field at our school, which I didn't see the end result within the time frame that I was there. However, you drive past now and boom, there's an open football soccer field established up on the oval.
Yeah, right. Bit to unpack there, mate. All good. No, I love it. Take us back to the herpetology side of things. Like you said, you loved snakes, lizards, all those sort of reptiles. But what was it about it? Because fuck, I touch a snake or fucking even a lizard. Like I see a water dragons at work and like, no, fuck that, stay away. Like I call snakes fucking no pros. They can go and get fucked for all I care.
I honestly don't know. It was a mate of mine. Him and I were heavily, like we'd be heads down in books all day, learning about every little thing. Actually, I say a mate, there was probably 3 of us that were heavily dedicated to learning about it. We'd go out into the bush. Half the time could have been a load of bullshit that we were looking at, but we would just take what we learnt from documentaries, books, go out in the bush and then start identifying tracks or, something might live here. And then we'd go out and try and just explore.
So you're a very curious person in the sense of like...
when I find my interest, 100%.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a diamond python in 2000. She's still kicking now.
Yeah, right.
My missus is waiting for the thing to pass on so that we can get the real estate of our racking back in the garage. But she was born 9th of December 2000. Actually, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, right.
She'll be 25.
Fuck. What's the life expectancy for that?
So, funny thing, with diamond pythons, they reckon up to 30 years.
Yep.
Right? But there was a massive issue keeping diamond pythons in captivity. I think I read it about maybe 10 years ago, where people were struggling to keep them past 4. Now, I've done nothing special, if not borderline stretched it, especially like whilst I was in the army. It came on base with me. The thing's been on base. She's been everywhere. Every family member's looked after her in that time. My sister refuses to now.
I don't blame her.
She stupidly went to feed her through the top of the tank because she'd lost the key. So she made a little hole in the top, put her hand in with the rat and dropped the rat, but stupidly left her hand there and looked at the bottom of the tank while the rat was sitting there going, how am I going to get that? Whilst that's occurred, the snakes grabbed her hand and wrapped her up. And I...
Like bit her hand or just wrapped around her hand?
No, bit and then wrapped. It thought it was like, it's on. And she rang me and she's like, the snake, like hysterical, the snake's wrapping on my arm. And because with pythons, they've got thousands of teeth and all their teeth face backwards. So I said to her, you actually have to push your hand in further. And then what they do is they stick their airway out to the side a little bit so they can continue to breathe while they constrict and eat. I said, you're going to have to block it. So you're going to have to shove your hand in further and then just push down on her bottom jaw. And it released. And then all I heard was this snake get thrown against the bloody tank, but put back in.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm never feeding it again. Come get it. So.
Are they venomous?
No.
No, okay.
No.
So why a diamond python? Why not like a blue tongue lizard or some sort of different snake? What was it about a diamond python?
I looked at lizards, but they can be quite a bit of work. You know what I mean? Like constantly feeding, constantly cleaning. Snakes are relatively easy. And diamond python was sort of just where we fell. I spoke to people about children's pythons. A lot of people start there. but they're boring. They're small. They don't do much. Diamond pythons are arboreal, so they like to climb.
Yeah, okay.
And they've got quite a pretty colour to them. So it was really handy just to have a snake that looked nice. And yeah, it was good to watch.
Yep. We're sort of talking, before we started, you grew up with two members that have been on the podcast before.
Correct.
They have a podcast of their own called The Two Piss Kents, Major Langham. Shout out to the boys. Mate, tell us some stories about growing up with them, because like I've heard their stories and sort of what they've been through, but to sort of add you into the mix and like sort of what you're talking about before, sounds like a hell of a childhood.
Mate, I've learned a lot through your podcast, listening to those boys, and we didn't really catch up until about high school is where we sort of started to cross paths. We used to do, and a lot of people from Penrith will know, from our era, will know what Maccanats was. Basically, it was the car meetup at the Maccas right out front of Penrith Panthers Leagues Club. Yeah. And it was the go-to Friday, Saturday night. So as soon as you got your P's, boom, you're up at Maccanats with the boys. I think I had a Hyundai XL and I stuck some neons underneath and
XL.
You put the Fusion bloody speakers in it and you're like, yeah. And back then I think was it Langham? Might have had like a Commodore or whatever. So we used to go catch up, do sort of just cruises until we became 18. I disappeared for a little bit, went and did the military side of things, come back, and then, we've just been kicking on ever since.
Yeah, right.
But I know there was an instance where we went, those boys are into their motorbikes.
Yep.
Absolutely love them. I'm absolutely terrible on dirt bikes, love my road bikes. We went out to Wiseman's Ferry or out that way, Picton, and there was a big bike track out there. I remember taking Langham's bike for a run, and they're always like, "Oi, when you hit sand, go faster." Well, stupid me slowed down because I was like getting wobbles. I was like, "What the hell?" He's like, "Don't drop the bike." Ended up getting through it. I got off it after that. I was like, "No, screw this. I'll just get on the beers and watch the boys have a run." But I remember we were having a campfire, and one of the boys thought, "Oh, let's amp it up. Let's put some petrol on it, and we'll get it fired up." So he pours petrol onto the fire. It runs up into the jerry can. He sees it, throws the jerry can, but throws it directly across a tent. Now, the material of a tent didn't stand a chance on this jerry can on fire. So I think about 4 of us ended up having to sleep huddled like bloody penguins on the dirt and just cuddle up because it was so damn cold. I was talking bottom of the Blue Mountains in winter.
Yep.
That's probably the memory that stands out most, especially with those lads.
Yeah, nice.
Out that way.
Nice. You're talking about, you got elected as school captain, and that's sort of what started your thing for politics. What was it about politics that sort of, made you curious in that sense?
I think it was the ability to instill change and sort of give you the ability to help people. I think my common sense impacted or affected it probably negatively. I know in the Penrith region, like you would see around these parts of Brisbane, where they're putting in all these estates. So we were talking one of the biggest estates in Penrith that they were building at the time. And I remember them discussing population growth with it. And the first question I asked, like I'm 17, was, okay, what are we going to do about the roads? What schools are they going to go to? And like, are we going to do anything with the hospital? Like what infrastructure are we going to put in place to support this growth? And they looked at me and they were like, oh, that'll come after. And at 17, you're like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And now I look back and I'm like, it's still the case now. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at the growth of Brisbane.
Mate, it's the same. It's the same in this suburb. Like, I don't know did you come the back way?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you went past Greenbank Raiders Football Club down Tiviot Road, there's all roadworks there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they're making it into 2 lanes each way. But for some reason, they'll put all these houses in, they'll put all these estates in, but they won't do the roads first.
The Centenary's 1 lane each way.
Yeah.
And the population growth out here has been well over 3 million at least. Like, it is huge. And with what they're doing all the way out west, crazy.
It's like they wanna make money quick by building all these houses, getting all these people in, and then be like, all right, well, we'll save our money and then we'll do the roads after.
That's what got me into politics. I was like, it just didn't make sense. And I was like, okay, well, let's get into it. And then I started being involved in the elections, and one memory I remember of Canberra was I was with the member. We had done some work, and now we're talking John Howard, still Prime Minister.
Yep.
Joe Hockey's there as the Treasurer. All the bigwigs. And I just remember them, they were going in for a dinner. And anyone below front bench, go home. And all the front benchers went into a room. They shut the door, shut the blinds. And I just turned 18. It was one of my first beers I'd had, was at Parliament House on top.
Yeah, right.
It was mad.
So how did you get involved with the whole going to Parliament House and having that, that all access pass you were talking about before?
Well, I ended up working for the federal member.
Okay.
So I expressed...
Doing what?
Just admin tasks,
Okay.
helping out with scrutineering. So after the election closes, going in and counting ballots. So I was doing that at 17, 18, handing out flyers. I remember I got this one dude out the front of St. Clair Shopping Centre, and I was handing him a pamphlet, and he just gave me an absolute spray. Now, I was quite cocky. I was happy to debate. I was like, okay, Lord, what's your go? And all I remember was he had a union tattoo on his leg. It was the Maritime Workers Union. And so my uncle, who is a avid member of such union, I knew, okay, we're in for a bit of a battle here. And I just remember making what sounded like common sense, and he just took a different angle. And I was like, that's crazy. He didn't see me as a 17-year-old handing out pamphlets. He just saw the cause and was just off tap. And rather than be deterred, I was intrigued. And so it just kept me going.
Yeah, right. It's just crazy, because I've done 50 of these episodes, but I've never had someone on that says they're into politics or they want to get into politics and quote make change. So it's just sort of fascinating to me to hear about these things, because you're right in what you're saying. These people, they wouldn't see you as a 17-year-old. You're advocating for a party that they might not be, they don't want to support. So they don't see you as a 17-year-old. They basically see you as the enemy.
Yeah, correct. And it was funny because I was involved in federal, and then I did a little bit within state. And so I got to see both elements from within that party. Now, fast forward to today, I'm probably more intrigued in getting back involved in it. However, not potentially with that party.
Okay.
Only because of the way it's diluted, but that's another...
That's a whole nother
podcast.
Yeah. So, mate, what was going through high school, and you're saying you got school captain, come towards the final years of high school. What was sort of on the agenda for that, for next? Because I know you spoke about wanting to do politics, but you didn't really have I'd say a life experience sort of thing. So you question yourself, what can you do?
Yeah, so the Army services, sorry, it wasn't Army, it was Air Force.
Okay.
So I initially wanted to join Air Force. I was doing Air Force cadets at the time. That is not widely known. It's funny. When you join the military, if you've done cadets, I highly advise just keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the first thing that gets brought up and you'll get sprayed for it.
Yeah.
In good banter, but you'll cop it. But no, did cadets, and then Army was there. I was also playing rugby at the time. So I'd played league right up until about 16. And then I had a PE teacher go, do you want to go hit someone off the ball? I'm thinking about putting a team together. And then that decision changed the entire outlook of my career within the military to today. I then started playing rugby union. Played union all the way through to the end of year 12. And then, military came up. And I remember it stalling. Back in the day, unlike today where they're screaming for people, recruitment at that time was slow. And I remember being in Canberra. We were at Parliament House, and the member asked me that I worked for, and she's like, how's the recruitment going? Have you applied? She was an ex-Air Force person as well.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, no, I haven't heard anything. And I remember putting on a post-it note. She's like, here, go to this office after lunch. And I was like, oh, all right, sweet. And so after lunch, I go to this office, and I've looked up and I'm like, oh, and I've walked in yo, Heath. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, Minister for Defence will see you in a minute. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And it was Brendan Nelson, Dr. Brendan Nelson at the time, and got pulled in. He just sat down, he had a chat, and he's like, what's going on? And I said, well, I applied, but I can't get an answer out of him. Like, I'm 17. I would have been turning 18 the following year. Like, I was 18. I'm keen to go. Like, let's do this. And he's like, okay, cool, no worries. Just heard me out and sent me on my way. Within 7 days, I had a phone call going, you're going to Kapuka.
Yeah, right.
So I applied for Air Force, put in, I think it was infantry as my second option, and Army snaffled me. They're like, yep, you're off. And within 7 days, I was on a bus at Parramatta heading down to Wagga.
Yeah, right. So what year was this that you applied?
I applied in 06, so end of year 12, and I was gone July 07.
Yeah, okay. So that would have been like, sort of smack bang, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those sort of tours going on.
In that time,
Yeah, so and because I can imagine especially after events of 9/11 happened and, they were saying they're going to start sending people over, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts, one being Zero Limits with Matty Morris. So I've listened to a lot of their stories, and I mean this in no disrespect at all, but when you listen to so many podcasts of so many, people going over there and serving, all that sort of stuff, for me, listening to it just and when you hear stories start to connect, it just sort of feels like you're there.
Yep.
Even though because I'm a greenkeeper for a job, so I pretty much just sit on a mower or a roller doing cricket wickets. But I've always got my headphones on and listen to podcasts. So you listen to a lot of them and you start hearing all these stories, and then when they start to connect, it's it's like you're a fly on the wall sort of thing.
Yep.
So I hear about people going to Kapuka and then they go to Singo, or they go do the IETs and all that sort of stuff, and you start to pick up on the terminology and all that sort of stuff.
I'm impressed that you're able to recap on all that, because a lot of people. I was listening to Five with the Digger the other day.
Yep, Jesse, shout out, mate.
Yeah, and I heard him talk, and he's like, these bloody acronyms, and I could hear him spelling them out, where obviously I understood what he was trying to do, and I'd have a little bit of a giggle. But yeah, no, IETs, you're all over it.
Yeah,
you're in it.
Yeah. So mate, talk to me through. You've applied. You've seen the Minister for Defence. 7 days later, you get the call saying you're in.
Yep.
Talk to me when you get on the bus heading down. What's the feelings?
There was a bloke who rocked up. We're getting on the bus, and he looked schmick. He was in a nice tracksuit, but we were all in suits and ties. And he was in this tracksuit, and there was this little sergeant with a mustache. Anyone who's been out of Parramatta in that time will know exactly who I'm talking about. And he absolutely loses his nut. He makes this bloke get off in a tracksuit, unpack the car. Now, everyone's families are along the side of the road here watching this poor dude unpack the entire bus to get to his bag, to get changed into collared shirt, slacks, and shoes. And so we're all like, oh, well, I guess we better help him. We're not even in day one yet. And this poor dude's getting berated. Pulls his bag, finds his bag. So we start helping, and we just get told, drop, get on the bus, sit in your seat. We'll leave when this guy's dressed. And they did it in front of, it was funny because all the mums then just start sobbing because all their daughters and sons are about to experience what this poor kid's just copped in front of everybody. So then we get on the bus and travel on down to Wagga. And probably the biggest memory I have arriving or of that trip was driving in through the gates. And on the left-hand side, it says Home of the Soldier on a big plaque, big brass, riding on a rock. And all I remember is, it's just got real. That's when it hit me that, we're on here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I said, I hear all these stories about people going to Kapuka, some shit themselves, some have said that they've done cadets and they, boast about it, but then they get in the shit for it and all that sort of stuff. So you rock up to Kapuka, you get off the bus. Is it basically screaming from the get-go, or how is it for you?
I think it's the culture shock. It's the yelling, it's the move now, shut up, do as I say, sort of, it all just hits you at once. You get off the bus, you line up on these, I think it was dots at the time, so they put you into sort of a formation somewhat. I don't remember too much of that element because I came from I played footy since I was 4. So the whole mentality around being in a team, I think, helped going to the military, because it was like, okay, coach is yelling, yeah, cool, get in a line, sort of follow through. But I remember, like, we then go to your rooms, and then you're laying in your bed your first night, and you're like, what have I done? Have I done the right thing?
What have you got yourself into?
Oh, man. And yeah, it's a bit of a culture shock.
What's, I don't know, this is another thing that they sort of talk about. What hallway were you in?
I was 12 platoon.
Okay.
Yep.
And what does that sort of entail?
So 12 platoon, I believe, was, they're going to shoot me if I forget this wrong, I think it was Bravo Company. It didn't mean too much after that, you know what I mean? That was just sort of where you were put.
Yep.
We had, I think we were a majority boy, like a bloke platoon, and then we had a couple of girls join us. I think it was like 3 or 4 women joined our platoon. I don't know if it was from immediately, but I do remember them going through the back end of us. But then, yeah, just went through and started kicking off training. You might have heard previous discussions I've had on what occurred with me. I remember sitting there cleaning my weapon, and I was starving. And I just remember them going, like, we used to have these little hot boxes, like these little trays with 300 grams of food in it. And they go, seconds. And I was like, I am out of here. Dumped my weapon, and I just took. And I get there, and as I touch it, all I hear is, stop. It's the last one. Where's your weapon? I was like, oh, Jimmy's looking after it, back in the room. And they're like, not good enough, go get it, come back. Because it was always about weapon security. And so they were instilling it in us, and I was like, oh, here we go. But it was funny because I had that rapport with the instructors where I knew their job, I knew why they were doing it, but they also, it felt like there was a bit of, there was a respect there, definitely.
Yep.
That I knew, okay, cool, I'll play the game. Went back, got my weapon, I come back and it's empty. They went and grabbed it and took it into the office where the corporals are. And I just remember getting to the box, and all I hear is laughing coming from the instructor's office, because they'd obviously just watched me walk out and then just be disappointed that the food was gone. And I just remember, like, far out. And even I had a bit of a laugh, because I was like, touche, it's on now, let's go.
Was that sort of lesson learned sort of thing?
Definitely with the weapon thing. I never forgot it after that.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to having a feed.
Yeah.
But no, I had a really good rapport with my instructors. You hear a lot of people go through with the bastardization and get him, I got bullied. We all copped it. But I think the sport mentality in the background sort of, it felt like being within a footy team. So you're like, it is what it is. You know,
because even back then, like, and a big thing that's always touched on is political correctness. It wasn't a thing back then.
No.
Not like what it is today.
I think we were probably like the back end of the introduction to that.
Yeah, it's like on the cusp sort of thing.
Correct, yeah. So it sort of came into play after. Look, it was what it was. And
I think sort of it, you know, especially at that time, you're getting set up to go to war. And like as an infantryman, as a rifleman, artillery, anything to do with infantry, and I hear a lot of this, you know, with Jesse's Five with the Digger or even Zero Limits, is that, you know, their first job when they go overseas is to kill. You know, like there's no tiptoeing around it. Like that is literally what you're paid to do.
Yep.
You know, because when you come face to face with the enemy, it's kill or be killed. And I don't think a lot of people really realize that until someone tells you that, someone that's actually done the time over there, or you listen to someone that has been over there. Now, I want to footnote it for the people who know me, just in that my combat experience is nil. Okay. So I was one of those people that I never deployed. I actually went to New Zealand to play rugby for the Army. That was the only time I left the country. So whilst at Kapooka, they do a big introduction on all the sorts of jobs and trades that the Army cover. And I remember them saying the job I ended up going to, which was as an air dispatcher, and it was based at Richmond. I'm like, well, I'm from Penrith. Richmond's our local base. I ended up throwing in a bloody trade transfer whilst I was at Kapooka and got accepted. So once I left Kapooka, I then stopped being set up for rifleman. And then I went
Corps of Transport and went and became an air dispatcher.
Yeah, okay. Just to quickly backtrack, when you said you applied first up for the Air Force, what was the role that you applied for?
ADGI, so Airfield Defence Guard.
Okay.
I laugh because it's always they're the infantry of the RAF, and we give them stick significantly, especially from the green side. But yeah, so that was the role that, like I said, I was going for rifleman. So it sort of just made sense to double tap both jobs when I applied.
Yeah. Talk to me through like a normal day of basic training. Because like, we see a lot of like, all these movies that we see, all the stuff that they do, but like from someone that's actually been, feet on the ground, going through it, what's a normal day?
Most of it's pretty similar to what you expect. We'd be up at 6, down, grab a feed, and then you'd go into whatever training was designated for that day, whether it was medical training down at the range, anything like that. Probably the biggest significance is a very different cultural, a very big difference in cultural training from what you see in the American shows to what you see how we operate.
Yep.
They're very, the screaming and the yelling is all done for a purpose so that under fire you react and act accordingly. So there is purpose to everything. But like when you go to the range, no one's kicking you in the back of the head. You're the one with the weapon with live rounds. Do you know what I mean? So, and a lot of the time, the instructors want you to do well. I think you don't really realize it till the end that the instructors understand that you are now, when you march out, a colleague.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think in our experience in the Australian Army, or my experience, was that I could definitely tell that there was the element of, okay, we're gonna fuck you around, but there's a purpose to it, and to at least have your shit squared away in order to deal with any significant change at the drop of a hat. So, but you would then go, so up at 6, conduct training all day, and you'd be in lights out bed at 10. And that was pretty regular. I know through a lot of the briefings, I don't know why, they'd put it after lunch or towards the evening, and you'd be sitting there doing lessons, and dudes would be going to sleep within minutes. The room would be just temperate. They'd turn all the lights off, get the PowerPoint up, and then boom, you'd be like dozing off trying to take notes as you were going. But I think the biggest, I was actually talking to someone about, they're going to Kapooka in February, and I was like, just remember, Kapooka isn't the army. Do you know what I mean? It's the culture shock to get you into to a level of preparedness for what's to be expected when you get out. But after that, it then becomes about the camaraderie, the job role, and the teamwork within that.
Yeah. How's the fitness training when you're actually in? Because obviously you got to do, like your PFA, which is your pre-fitness assessment.
Yes.
So that's before you go in, and then when you are actually in, you do your BFA, which is your basic fitness assessment.
Correct. So it used to be a barrier.
Okay.
Don't know what it's like now, but in 2007 you had to do a fitness test to get out. You'd conduct a couple of trial ones whilst you were at Kapooka, and then so there wasn't too much. The fitness the fitness training was full on, but it wasn't like you could go to the gym after work and train. Like, you were absolutely spent. And I remember, I think I've got down to sub 100, which I hadn't been in a long time. I remember leaving Kapooka and I could get into like a 34 pants.
Yeah, right.
Which was rare, because I was like, what the hell? But it was a stress weight, because you're always worried about, is my stuff ready to go? Am I good for tomorrow? Where's this bit of equipment? You know what I mean? You're always on the go, that even by the time your head hit the pillow at 10, you're gone. And then you hear the trumpets playing in the morning and you're like, oh, here we go, sheets off. And it was almost like a Groundhog Day. You're like, oh, here we go. And I remember the one moment where I was like relieved at Kapooka, chest, and I actually felt proud, was I had a Ramey corporal, Royal Australian Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. I hope I got that right, because the boys will get up me. But he was a Ramey corporal, and he was a pretty intense dude. And I remember him telling us, you guys are now Australian soldiers. Put your hat on. And we put our slouch hat on for our pollies to go then march out. And I remember that just being a significant moment at Kapooka. I was like, we've done it. We're on.
Yeah, this is what it's all about.
Yep, definitely.
You mentioned before about trumpets going and sheets coming off.
Yep.
Mate, talk to me through the bed making and how meticulous they are about it.
It was full on. You couldn't even, we tried to cheat too. You try and get a couple of spare sheets and try and pre-make it, or dudes would sleep under I remember falling asleep under my bed all the time because it had to be made and you couldn't get into it till 10. So it stayed made from 6. So in the morning, they'd make you take your bottom sheet. So you get they weren't fitted sheets either. So you had 2 flat sheets and a blanket, or what we called the horse blanket, because if you got it on your skin, you itch. And 6 a.m. you were required, you'd hear lights on, hallway 12, sheets over the shoulder, boom, stand at attention outside your door. So you had to make your bed every time. And then you had about, I think it was 15 minutes to brush teeth, get dressed, bed made, and then be back out front at attention, and they go through and check your rooms. If it wasn't right, there were times where they would make us get back into pajamas, make us get back into bed, and do the whole process again. It was relentless. I look back now and I laugh, but at the time you're just can we get this right? And if one bed wasn't right, the whole platoon would do it. So it was just all about trying to build camaraderie and have everyone hold each other account, but also to help you, mate. If you see him struggling, don't let him hang out, because he's going to be the one that costs you the next time. Yeah,
and I saw that there's in a sense sort of thing that sort of preparing you for if you're on the battlefield, you see your mate struggling,
correct,
help him out, sort of thing.
Yep. I think that's where all that sort of training stems from.
100%. Talk to me through. Had you ever fired a gun before?
Never.
So talk to me through first time you get given a gun and you're live on the firing range.
Well, they have what's called the WETS, which is a weapon training system, but it's a simulation system. So you start, and the drills were meticulous to the point now where I still do them. I recently went and got my firearms license. And the guy said straight away, he goes, "Oh, are you ex-army or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Because I can see the drills. They're still instilled now." Now, I've been out almost 10 years and it's still there. But firing a weapon for the first time was kind of daunting, because I didn't know what to feel, what to expect, what was going to, sort of happen. But I don't remember it vividly to the moment. I think just because we've spent so much time at the range, you get over, it sort of desensitizes.
And it really fathoms me, because a story that you told on Proprietary Yarn was you didn't have a license when you got out.
No, you do. There's no RPL. There's no nothing.
Do they say why that's the case? Because I would sort of think the whole registering for a license or a gun, it's all in sync with the government.
I think it comes back to, we're going political again. I think it comes back to state versus government.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, firearm licensing's state run.
Yep.
But military's federal.
Federal, yeah. Okay.
It's weird that there's no correlation. And I know when I've used that video from Proprietary Yarn on my YouTube channel, and some of the comments are I know people who have led 100 men and couldn't get out of a paper bag. You know what I mean? And yes, there are outliers, I guess you could say. But the fact that you don't get any sort of recognition for what you've been able to do is kind of crazy. I think a lot of people just think that occurs, but it doesn't.
Yeah, because you hear a lot of stories too, and again, I'm referencing back to other podcasts that I listen to. A lot of people spend years in the defense force, and they do all this stuff, they get all these learn all these skills, all these tickets, these courses that they've done, and they go into civilian life, and it's let's just start at square one again. It's
crazy too, because I think what's going to occur is then now, since that event out west with the young coppers out there that got ambushed, that they're potentially looking at mental health testing or barriers now within the licensing realm, which could impact military members that might have been impacted that way. It'll be an interesting space to watch on how they manage that process, because obviously what occurred out there is crazy. And I don't know, I've spoken to friends who are police officers and I'm like, what are you taught in ambush training? Because obviously we get a taste of it. And as an air dispatcher, it wasn't my bread and butter, but I have an awareness of it. And they just said, there's where do we fit the training in to teach, you know what I mean, these young officers out west on ambush training? And I'm like, fair point. You know what I mean? Like, it's not their bread and that they was set up from the get-go.
Yeah, 100%. So coming sort of towards the end of Kapuka, you know, you were talking about it before, you're graduating, you put your slouch hat on, you've done it. What's the process from there? Because, like, obviously we spoke about IATs before, but you were saying that, you know, you were training to be a rifleman, but then you got that trade transfer.
Yep.
What's sort of the go with that? Why did you change, and what sort of sparked that?
I got a trade transfer because I wanted to go back towards home.
Okay.
So out of our friends group, Langham, Major, everybody else, I was now the soldier. And I don't know, I think I just wanted to get back around my mates and get back home. I hadn't really ever been out of Penrith living wise. Like, I'd never done any of that until I joined the army and did some postings. So I saw Richmond, I saw aviation was involved again. So that whole Air Force interest came back in, and flying in planes, pushing shit out the back and, you know what I mean, having a mad time. I was like, that sounds like the go to me.
Yep. So when you said you go to Richmond, is Richmond where you do your IATs, or do you have to go to different places to learn different aspects of the role? Yeah.
So as an air dispatcher, you're required to be a driver first. So I went to Puckapunyal and did driver training down there first. And then from Puckapunyal, I then went to Richmond and conducted air dispatch IATs there. But the IET training is conducted by an Air Force owned unit, and then you go to the Army unit, which is also on the same base. So it's literally 3 or 4 hangars apart.
Yeah, okay. How long were you at Puckapunyal for?
3 months.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me through that.
So it's an interesting place. You know what I mean? It's barren. It's spread out like I think School of Artillery, School of Armour, and School of Trucks down there. So went down there, the biggest thing about IETs is now you're not under the rigors of what you were at Kapuka. That's probably the biggest shock, is that now you are required to be out front at 9 a.m. ready to go. Put yourself to bed once you finish work, time's your own. Do you want to go to the boozer? Do you want to go into town? You're back to being an adult, I guess, again.
It's not Kapuka.
Exactly right. So it's like a normal job again. However, you're just living on base. So you had to be there full time. So there was times there during the weekends, if you got the weekend off, I'd be in Melbourne. And it was funny because I only just went back to Melbourne for work 2 weeks ago. And it's the first time I've been in Melbourne since 2007.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, this is crazy. So much has changed. Mind you, I don't remember too much of Melbourne either because we were 18, just got out of Kapuka, we're in the army. And it didn't matter if we spent all our money because our accommodation's paid for, our food's paid for. As long as we've got money for a ticket back to Puckapunyal, we're sweet. You just wait 2 weeks and go again.
Do you have any stories from the boozer or anything sort of when you went into town?
Not really. Not in Melbourne. We were pretty tame. I remember being actually in Bendigo. We went out and did a weekend in Bendigo, and I do remember we locked our key in our room and we're like, oh no. But one of the boys managed to climb up a fire escape to the building across from it, and our window was open. And I was like, you're not going to do it, are you? And he's like, I think I can do it. And now we're half cut too. And I'm like, I don't know how we're going to explain this. This isn't a good idea. And he's like, no, I've got it. And I was like, all right, well, if it means me getting into bed tonight, have a crack. Yeah. And we're about 4 stories up.
Fucking hell.
And he's looking at this window and he just starts charging at it. And I remember watching him jump and I was like, please make it, because this is going to be a bad story to tell. Boom, straight in the hole, made it. I was like, yes. So that's probably one of the funniest stories from down that way. Not too much really happened outside the norm. Everyone was pretty sensible.
How was the driver training?
It was really good. I hadn't done Forbian or anything like that previously, and now I'm doing it in a Unimog and a Land Rover.
Yep.
So it was really cool. And mind you, I was on my P's at the time. So to be driving medium rigid vehicles over obstacles, lock and diffs, with loads, without loads, like it was really good. Night vision, limited lighting, all that sort of jazz. It was really, really cool.
Didn't get to drive any Bushmasters?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, okay.
Not even in my entire career didn't drive Bushmasters.
Shame.
Yeah. I got the Hawkeye.
Yep.
People know how I feel about the Hawkeye. What else have I driven? That's probably the only real... Oh, and the MANs, the new MANs. I was an instructor when I got out of Army, so I instructed out here at Greenbank.
Yeah, because I see, like, always driving along the arterial road there, you know, they're always in and out.
Yep.
And you always see people driving, you know, driver under instructor.
Correct, yeah.
So, yeah.
So I was an instructor, civilian instructor, contracted to Defence for the introduction for those vehicles into service.
Yeah, okay.
Out at Amberley.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true. So leave Puckapunyal, what's next after that?
So I left Puckapunyal in December 2007. I get to Richmond. I'm meant to have a room. I'm meant to be known that I'm coming. And I remember knocking on the door, the duty member. He must have been laying down watching a movie, because we were on the RAF base, but the Army, we sort of just get tucked away in the back corner. You know what I mean? We're like that ugly stepchild up the back. And I remember knocking on the door, and this duty member looked at me and he's like, I have no idea who you are. We weren't told you were coming. Anyway, long story short, ended up getting a room. And then I think I had to put in a leave application, which I'd never done. My admin had always been sorted for me from go to woe. And because I got there in December, everyone had shut down. They were off on Christmas holidays. So I think I returned shortly after in January. Returned to work in January, and started from there. I think I went on air dispatch IETs around March, I think it was.
Yeah. So run me through that, because that's an interesting role in itself, because like you're saying before, you're pushing shit out of a plane. I assume that you're latched onto the plane as well. You're wearing a harness and everything like
Correct.
that. Because I actually, and I don't think I've really told this story on any podcast, but I actually applied to join Defence Force in 2016. So I did my U session.
Yep.
Had my meeting with like the careers counsellor there and all that sort of stuff. Picked up my roles and stuff, and I only had to do the fitness test, which I at the time, like, I was pretty fit. I'm pretty sure I was going to ace it, but at the time, Dad was diagnosed with early onset dementia, so I sort of put a bit of a hold on that, and then I just never went back. And that was 2016, so 9 years ago, and I look back at it now, like, it's something I wish I did. I think part of me still maybe wants to do it, but having a missus and 2 young kids, it sort of puts a bit of a thing on it.
Yeah.
And then also doing this and all that sort of stuff. But for me, growing up, it was just one of those things, like I think, like the same as you, I wanted to serve my country doing some sort of thing.
Yep.
So I think I was applying to be a load master in the Air Force.
Yep.
But I think at the time they said it's a pretty hard role to get into. So there was a couple other things that I would think I was leaning towards to, but I just never sort of really followed through with it.
I think that's the case for a lot of people. And if it doesn't feel right, I know people have pushed through that and it ends up costing them more than what it was worth. You know what I mean? Like, that gut feeling's definitely, you got to be locked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Family have to be, you have to be. I totally get it. And Odie, hey, well, essentially we worked side by side with them guys.
Yep.
Doing what we did. So we would do underslung, so under helicopters. We would do air drop as well. So I didn't do anything operationally air dispatch. It wasn't really a role required. A lot of the air dispatchers got deployed, but the reason they got deployed was because of their ability to do terminal roles. So they had the ability to airdrop. We get all the forklift tickets. We're truck qualified. So you've got 3 job roles within one. So a lot of the air dispatchers would be deployed on the basis of not just their air dispatch role, but their ability to run a terminal when they got over.
Yeah, okay, so they're very diverse in what they can do.
Correct. And we're such a small trade that if your number's not picked, like, there's people in infantry who've never been deployed either. I was only listening to Jesse the other day, and he had a Sheila on there who'd done 10 so years and had never deployed.
Yep.
And it's probably a more common story than not, because you always hear about the issues and scenarios overseas. And I guess from my perspective, they're mates. But I definitely chose a rugby route. So I got involved in Army rugby, played Army rugby from about, I think it was the end of 2008, 2009. And then I played Australian service rugby as well.
Yep.
And I remember my sergeant major coming down and he's like, you're going to be a corporal by the end of this year within my trade with air dispatch. And I said to him, I don't see it happening. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm going to make sure of it. I'm like, there's too much footy on. Like my focus was solely on just getting out and playing footy and traveling, doing footy, that I sort of paid the job off probably a little bit. And I look back now and I'm like, I wish I had given him the opportunity to at least see me promote a little bit better.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because the rapport I had, I still talk to that sergeant major today. And our cohort is very, very strong. That there are times where I look back at promotions, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Were you itching to get deployed, or was it just sort of what happens?
My hand was up. If I got picked, I got picked. I wasn't too concerned.
Yep. Where does rugby come into it? Because I know they have the tri-service of sports and all that sort of stuff. But and obviously you had a rugby league / union background. But where does the thing come to you say, hey, we got a rugby team, come and play?
So they used to have what's called Kapuka 10s, which was a 10 on 10 rugby comp down at Kapuka. Every unit would get involved. So I heard, oh, there's a rugby comp. I'm in. Let's rock and roll. So rugby, many in defence, it probably rubs them the wrong way, that it is probably the pinnacle sport. Definitely within Army, potentially Navy. RAF aren't massive on it. But it's played at Duntroon. You've got all the officers that a majority of them are involved with it somewhere. Whether it's, I'm generalising here, but private school previous to joining military. So rugby has a massive influence within defence. And so I got involved with it that way and continued playing all the way through, essentially.
Yep. And you're talking about, you had was it the Rugby Services Australia? Yeah,
so there's Army, which is the service level.
Yep.
And then from the services level, you go into what was known then as ASRU, or Australian Services Rugby Union.
Okay.
Within ASRU, I've played Papua New Guinea in the Pacific Military Cup.
Yep.
And I also played a game at Vic Barracks, Sydney, against the combined US military team.
Fuck, how did that go?
Mate, they are absolute athletes.
Yep.
But because their sports, NBA, gridiron, are black and white, once, for instance, the ruck's formed. That's it. To them, okay, spread out, ruck's formed, let's go. We'll set the play up. Where for us, well, the ruck's formed, but the ruck's not over. So we'd counter ruck, or we'd stick our hand in and drag the ball back. Like, illegal, but only if the ref sees it. And that's where but give them a hit up. And the dude's 8 foot tall, this big African American dude just running at you, could run the 100 in 15 seconds. Like, he was an absolute beast. And you're like, whoa. Or the kicker, you give a penalty within 60 metres, the kicker will knock it from the sideline over the post. So you had to be very careful in how you approach it, because they were athletes in their own right. They just hadn't learned the grey area of the game yet.
Yeah, okay.
And that's probably where we got them. Yeah. Like in the scrum, I remember one of my second rowers, he was a captain. He unbound from me. He's like, you got it? I was like, yeah, I've got it. What are you doing? And he unbound and starts uppercutting him through the scrum. And he's like, get this up here, you Seppo. He's like having a whack. And I was like, what the hell? And it's funny because even since that game, we played him in 2 or 3 games, maybe 2, Sydney and Canberra. And I've stayed in touch with 2 of the dudes, 2 Navy officers from America. I've got a couple of them on LinkedIn. One ended up playing for Seattle Seawolves, the professional rugby comp over there, when he got out of the military.
Yeah, right.
So it's cool. There's a good little cohort it's just mad.
How does it go when your Army and then you versus Navy? Like, obviously there'd be banter and all that sort of shit. Like, I know Army's better. No, Navy's better and all that sort of stuff. But how do you sort of tackle with that?
My banter wasn't probably so much with the opposition, but my father-in-law today is going on 40 years Air Force.
Yeah, right.
So the first time I played Air Force, we beat them 73-5 at Tuggeranong Vikings in Canberra. And I just remember going, as soon as I finished the game, shook hands. It was what it was. The RAF are big touch footy boys. They're not necessarily, or rugby league orientated. They're not so much union. And because their job role dictates that they're required elsewhere. So for them to gather a team is quite difficult, given they're so spread out operationally. Like, if an aircraft goes, the entire support team goes. Do you know what I mean? With the Army, if a unit goes deployed, you just go pick from one of the other battalions. It's pretty easy for Army and Navy to put a team together.
Yep.
But I remember after that 73-5 win, I was on the blower to the father-in-law going, hey, get it up, yeah. And he's a super nice dude. So he was just like, yep, touche. I expected somewhat of a flogging. And I was like, oh. So, yeah, it was good fun just to give some stick to the old man.
Yeah, 100%. You were talking before about heading to New Zealand to play rugby. How was that?
The best experience footy's ever given me. So besides the networking that rugby provides, the trip to New Zealand was awesome. It was the Australian Army versus New Zealand Army in 2009 as the curtain raiser to the Brumbies Hurricanes.
Yeah, okay.
So we flew over a little bit earlier, flew into Wellington. We stayed at a place called Upper Hutt. And I remember the best Anzac Day I've ever done, like dawn service. We were up at the local town. We're looking at the community hall where they're conducting the service. And the fog is all sitting around like roof height. And then as Reveille plays at the end, 2 Iroquois fly through the cloud, separating it. And all you see is these choppers come through. And it was kind of like a scene out of We Were Soldiers, you know, at the end when those Hueys come through and all you hear is whoo, whoo, whoo. It was exactly like that. Like, it gives me goosebumps to talk about it now, but the best Anzac Day I've done. And then we couldn't get on the sauce because we were playing later that night. So we went down to the Cake Tin in Wellington. And, like, I remember going past, like, Ma Nonu, like, in the hallways and, like, just all these All Black players. And then the Brumbies were there as well. It was an epic experience. We got flogged, but I just remember even the field was like a mattress getting tackled. You're like, man, and it held up so nice compared to some of the fields here. So before we went to New Zealand, we played the Navy at the Sydney football ground, but they'd mowed it for soccer, which they go down to almost dirt. It was almost like a cricket pitch length. So to go over to New Zealand after that, it was just pure rugby heaven. Loved it.
Yeah, because I think, and this is just coming from like a greenkeeping sense, I think at rugby they mow it to like 30 something mil.
Yep.
Anywhere between 25 and 30 mil. So like that's pretty decent, and like that coverage like on a professional ground would be pretty thick. So that's probably why it did feel like a mattress.
And the weather in like it's just suited conditions over there in Wellington. Like they get plenty of rain, and it was just epic.
Yep. What's going on in your personal life? Like what's sort of going on outside of army and rugby?
Today?
No. Like during this time.
Oh, during that time. So I got to Richmond end of 07. I met my now wife in 08.
Okay.
And we've been together ever since.
Yep.
So I was catching up with all my old mates. I ended up then moving out and moving closer to where all the clubs were that we used to hang out at when we were 18. So my house then became not only the AJs were coming back, but mates from Langham Major, they'd be coming over after we went out on the sauce for a night. I remember the night I met my wife and we were dancing, the lights come on, end of the night, I think it was about 3 a.m. and she goes to walk away. And I remember grabbing her by the belt and I pulled her back in and then we kissed and she wouldn't give me a number. So she leaves and I'm like, oh, okay, sweet, is what it is. Just another night, let's go home. And I'm showing age here. About a week and a half later, I get a MySpace
I was
request.
about to say something about MySpace. As soon as you said Sean Mage, I'm like, there's something about MySpace or Bebo about to come up.
Yeah, MySpace. She tracks me down and yeah, we went out on a date and we've been together ever since.
The rest is history.
That's it, mate.
Nice, mate. So sort of coming towards the I would say like the end of your service.
Yep.
What sort of sparks the interest about leaving? Like, were you medically discharged? Was there something going on that were you just getting over? What was it go?
So a few things occurred throughout, but the main factor was I was looking to commission. So I wanted to get out and become an officer.
Okay.
I couldn't do this. I got rejected for a service transfer internally because they said the wait's too long. Your best option is to discharge, separate, and re-enlist. And I was like, oh, it's a bit of a gauntlet because you can get out and potentially be rejected on returning, and then you've given up your career essentially. But I was like, nah, surely I've got this in the bag. So I run the gauntlet. I separate. I think it was November 2016. It was the 16th of November 2016. I separated. The same day I get the letter from separation from Army, which was that November 16, I re-enlist. I'm back at Defence Force recruiting, going through like everybody else. So I end up passing officer selection board. I get offered not logistics officer, which I thought, well, I've done trucking, air dispatch, like it makes sense in the Air Force. I got accepted for intelligence officer within the Air Force. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll take it. Let's go. It was my second option. Let's do it. It gets to a point where medical get involved and they're like, you know that parachute injury from 2008? And I was like, yeah. Now we're talking potentially 2017, 18 now. I'm like, yeah, unfit for service. Thanks for coming.
Class 4, straight out of the wazoo.
Just see you later. And I was like, hang on. I got out and it wasn't an issue. I served another 8 years after it. Wasn't an issue. Like, what is the GO here? Oh, and you know what they told me? And it grinds my gears. Oh, it's just due to the rigors of service. And I was like, I just did almost 9.5 years. What do you, like, you're telling the wrong person that statement. Obviously, she's being told to use
certain terms.
Exactly right. But I just remember it grinding my gears. And then just out of spite now, I'm like, all right, well, let's go move on and make something of it.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me through the parachute incident.
So it was on my third jump. So I'd come down and I remember I was heavy. I had maxed out the chute weight with my gear to the point where my other mate who, and you know what, I'll put him on, Nathan was next to me. He was about 5 foot and they just loaded him up with whatever I couldn't carry. So they put him up to weight of what I was without my gear. So me jumping clean was what he now weighed. And I remember him hitting the deck and he's like, dude, how do you do it? I was like, mate, that's me normal. They're now strapping bags to me to jump with. What are you talking about? I'm now another like 40 kilos heavier than what you are right now. And he's like, dude, that sucks. He goes, how fast are you falling? And the rate of descent on those chutes at the time were like 6 meters a second, which is what I was coming in at fully loaded. And you jump from about 1,000 feet. So it's about 300 meters. So yeah, I've come down and I remember the wind just taking us and I was loving it in the air. All 3 jumps in the air. You're like, whoa, till you hit the tree line. And then the tree line's like moving, like it's hooking. All you're just seeing is boom, 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 almost like when you're in the car driving past the tree line. And I was like, this is going to hurt. And I remember just going heels, ass, head, whiplash, boom, hit the deck. And I ended up, I think they've called it cervical spondylosis through the lower back. But at the time, they just put it as a lower back soft tissue injury. And that is what stuck through my med records and stopped me from commissioning.
Yeah, right. And like even as an officer role, like you're not exactly hands-on, but you're leading. So like do you think that would have affected it?
Well, my part of contention was in the role I was doing, I wasn't going to be parachuting. I wasn't doing the same role. It was a completely different role that I could effectively serve as. Like I'd done another 8 years post that injury for it.
Yeah,
it just hung around like a bad smell.
What kind of stuff were you carrying? Because like have you seen Band of Brothers?
Yes.
I assume you have. Episode 1, there's a bit there just before they're about to jump, and Joe Toy is going through all the stuff that he's laid everything out on the ground, and he's going on about everything that he has to take and how heavy it's going to be, and like for a combat jump like that, going into the basically behind enemy lines and taking all this stuff, like. From my point of view, I sort of just think, you need your rifle, your medikit, and that's basically it. Because like, as soon as you hit the ground, you're fighting. But like for you, what stuff are you carrying? Like even though it's a training jump.
In a training jump, you're just in a weighted. You have your pack, but it's weighted. and then you'll have a training weapon strapped to your side. Now, that's the easy part. And I take my hat off to the boys. At the time, 3RAR was still operationally jumping.
Yep.
You're talking mortar plates, mortar tubes. Like, those dudes are jumping with like heavy weapons, not just what I was jumping with. Like, it was, hats off to them dudes for that. And I remember working with 3RAR on a jump, and I'm like, why don't you just let us rig? We can create a little package that lands next to you with all that gear, and you might reduce your injury rate. Like, it makes sense. Imagine having a mortar tube poke up into your ribs and crack it when you land.
Yeah.
Like, it's not nice.
Yep.
And then I think there was an ego thing. No, this is what we do. I'm like, all right, hats off to you. But us as air dispatchers, we could rig that and have it fall. We could tether it to you if we have to.
Yep.
And have it fall within 20, 30 meters of you. Like, let's go. But they never took us up on it. We did do drops, like resupply elements like that, but not operational.
Well, those 3 jumps, were they all training or were they actual?
All training.
Did you do any?
I fell too short of qualifying for my wings. So I had 2 night jumps to do after that, but I was in hospital getting my back checked out, and then boom, off course, go home.
So you couldn't even like go for it again, pretty much?
I could go back to parachute training, and to be honest, if it was today, I probably would, because they've changed the parachutes around. The rate of descent's half.
Yep.
Which is epic for big rigs. But it came back to, do you want to keep playing footy and, you know what I mean? Or do you want the ego of the wings to keep coming? And if that was to occur again, I'm just like, it's not worth it. On my 3rd jump, I remember being up in the aircraft just cutting laps. There was a bloke from 3RAR, Big Red, and I believe it was his tib and fib that popped through his kneecap on landing.
Oh, fuck.
That's what I mean. Like, that could be your next jump. That could be you. You know what I mean? So I sort of waited up and I was like...
Does that just happen because of the way they land? Like, have they not landed properly? Or
potentially, yeah. Okay. I guess there's a lot of factors. Undulating ground, it's not like it's perfectly flat. You might hit a bit of a knoll. You might hit a fence. You might hit a tree. It could be heaps of things. But yeah, there's been some gnarly injuries out of it.
Oh, I can fucking imagine. 2016 is when you like left, and obviously that's sort of coming towards the end of Afghanistan and that sort of, war that's gone on there. How's the retention rate for the army there? Because obviously, like, at that point with everything's coming to an end, I can imagine, like, they're not screaming for people per se, but like I'd imagine they would want to at least try and keep their staff. Like, in that sort of sense, when you were trying to apply, and even though they're telling you class 4 not suitable for service, like, did you appeal it, or did you say, like, I want to get back in, I want to keep serving? Like, does that make sense? Yeah, no, I did appeal it, and I did attempt,
but we're talking like 2 years on post applying.
Okay.
So we're getting close to like 2019, and I'm just like, man,
why did it take so long?
It's got to go through Canberra. You got to get evidence. Like, the medical process is huge. To the point where I was like, you know what? I'm now over it. You've talked me out of it. And then the birth of my first child was in 2019 as well. So it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I can wait for this career to hopefully return, or about turn and just get on with life. And that's what I chose to do.
Yep.
Retention wise, a lot of my mates are still in. I think my experience in my job role as an air dispatcher is slightly different to the rest of defence. People get frustrated with the job and will leave. But for the ones, like, we don't post. Richmond is essentially your only posting if you want to stay in the trade. You can break off defence, go into 2 routes. You can go trade route, or you can go regimental. So if you want to go regimental and become an RSM somewhere, you can then go be a Kapuka, go be an instructor, go do military training. You can go that route. Or you can stay in the trade and just promote through the trade. So the good thing with air dispatch is they're essentially just posted to Richmond. So when you've got a family, there's stability within an organisation that's not very stable with postings. So it's the one job role where a lot of my mates are still there. A lot of the time they only leave for better job prospects, or they're just over it, or injured.
Was there any time that you wanted to leave to, relocate somewhere else, take the family, do something new?
I did an out-of-trade posting in 2009. I came up here to Amberley.
Okay. How was that?
I loved it. I'd never been to Queensland posting-wise. I'd done a few trips up here with the boys, had holidays up here, but that was the first posting, relocate, live. I've done the Brisbane to Sydney, Sydney to Brisbane trip so many times. In 2012, I went back to Sydney. I came back up in 2012, went back, and then came back up in 2015, and I've been here since.
Yeah, nice. You were saying a lot earlier in the podcast, you're talking about your siblings joining. Was that sort of something they joined because you joined? Like, did you say, this are the benefits, these are the pros and cons? Like, what was their reasoning for joining?
I don't understand. I don't know their reasoning too much. I just know that I think having the insider knowledge might have helped make that decision easier.
Yep.
So I don't know if it was something that they'd always wanted to do, they just never did it. But I think from seeing how my career had progressed, footy, lifestyle, housing, health, all that sort of contributed to it. Now, both my brothers have deployed. They've both done their service overseas. One still continuing to serve now.
Were they both infantry?
No. So one was transport.
Yep.
And the other was ordnance.
What's ordnance?
Ordnance is like your QEs, your warehouse staff.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yep, so loggies. So he was over there as that. He achieved the highest rank. So the second born son, corporal, and the eldest is still serving now.
Okay. What did you finish as?
Private.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they wanted me to promote. They had it lined up. The runway was there. I just had to take it. But I went footy.
Was there and this is going back to the politics side of things, did you still have that, inkling to want to go down that route, get promoted, get, somewhere to a point where you could, after you've left, say, hey, I've gone this far in defence?
I'd totally forgotten about it, to be completely honest.
Okay.
That had sort of withered away, the defence. I just got wrapped up in the whole organisation, the environment, the traditions. I absolutely loved every bit of it. Where politics sort of faded away. Now I see what's occurring in the world, and I'm like, it's probably more now that interest in politics is coming back around.
Yep. And mate, talk to me everything post Defence Force. What sort of was going on after you'd sort of said, you obviously you bit the bullet, you said, I'm done, I'm not going to appeal. What was sort of next? So
in my last couple of months within Defence, I'd actually applied to go do an education degree.
Okay.
So I went and started that. So when I moved up here, I came close to USQ, where I was doing secondary education, where our mate Holding was also in my class. So I then started lifeguarding at the local pool at Orion Lagoon.
Yep.
So I started lifeguarding there, quickly became duty manager of the whole facility. I think purely I was the oldest there, and with the experience I'd had there, sweet.
This was 2019?
15.
Oh, 2015,
yeah,
sorry. Okay.
So October 15.
Okay.
I moved up here. I think I started maybe November 15.
Yep.
Working there. I absolutely loved it. I'd lifeguarded before back down in Penrith through year 11 and 12 just to get some money in. And it was just an easy sort of transition to come up here, and allowed me to study whilst doing it. And yeah, that was how we arrived in sunny Queensland and kicked off.
Yeah. So what was it? Obviously, you'd been up here before, but what was the drawing card for you to come up here?
I just loved it. I'd spent majority of my life in Sydney. I could see the way it was going, out around that Ponds, Western Sydney area. It was just getting bigger and bigger. And the biggest thing I noticed too, and I missed when I was down there, was, I say this quite often to everyone when I try to get them to move to Queensland. I'm like, on a Friday arvo, drive down the Great Western Highway, the M4 in Sydney, and tell me what you see. Majority of the time, it's people trying to get home.
Mm.
When I drive down on a Friday arvo down the highway in Brisbane, I see boats, caravans, campers, rooftops, motorbikes, 4Bs, Queensland's all about what you do away from work.
Yep.
More so than what you do for work, which is what I noticed in Sydney. So the lifestyle up here drew me to that. It was about working to live, not living to work.
Yeah, love that. So you started, why education? What was it about education that sort of drew you to that?
I've always liked that element of being able to pass it on. And what I liked about education was my mates had done education degrees while I joined the army and went off and did that. And they were super successful in that role. But I felt like they didn't have a story. They had gone from primary school to high school to university, now as a teacher. And I'm like, well, what do you offer in the grand scheme of experience, especially in the early days, you know what I mean? And I thought, you know what, I now have a story. As a teacher, there's an element of interest and world knowledge I guess I could bring to that job role.
Yeah. And lifeguarding, was that just to sort of bring money in?
That was just to fill the gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you spoke before a person you met at lifeguarding, Ben Nash.
Ben Nash.
Mate, tell us about Nashy, because obviously I know him from cricket, but you would have met him a lot long before I met him. I met him 2018, 2019.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it probably wouldn't have been too far off. He was one of our lifeguards. Him and Tom Holding were the Bow Desert boys that ended up coming out there and working lifeguarding. Holding ended up becoming a duty manager with me.
Yep.
Out there, but just lots of fun. You know, I mean, what am I? I can't even tell you how old I was. Like, let's say 25, 26 maybe. It was just good to see the young blokes come through, have a go. But also, I'd seen the worst of some of the lifeguarding incidents as well. So it was good just to have the energy there, but then to be able to sort of shape them into, or just be mindful, as good as this is, like the boys, you got to be careful. They're having a purr, they're watching the water, and you're like, look, just remember there's kids. And some of the incidents we had there were pretty serious. Like I remember there was a 4-year-old 4 days before Christmas, and we got him and he was unconscious, unresponsive. We got him back on CPR, on compressions. He coughed up water, got him onto the ambulance, went home, and the ambulance, we later found out that he'd only ingested water. He hadn't inhaled it, so he was sweet. But we're talking 4 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, it was gnarly. And that place is packed, especially when it opened. It was chockers.
On a summer's day as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely, man. And
school holidays.
Ridiculous. Yep. I think there was days there we had 5,000 patrons, and that was an estimated head count.
Fucking hell.
You know what I mean? And like, you're trying to watch every little bit of water. So it was hard. So luckily we got this kid back, and I remember it was funny because you know how you sort of forget the military way, you sort of adapt to the environment you're in. And I remember the manager, the venue manager, sent that bloke home after bringing that kid back. Now, he was also responsible for that area. So he then felt at fault that he hadn't seen the kid sooner. He wasn't tracking that well. I'm like, mate, there's 200 people in your area. You can't, you know what I mean? You've got to sort of group people where, okay, that kid belongs to that family, but he might not. But you've got to do your best with what you're given.
How old was the lifeguard?
18, 19.
Okay.
And I remember I chased after him because there was an experience when I was in the army that has stuck with me. And what had occurred was a parachutist jumped and his parachute candlesticked, which means it didn't inflate. He pops his reserve. It doesn't inflate. He gets to about 30 metres from the ground, pop, pop, both chutes inflate, and he hits the deck alive. And he's shaking. He's packing his chute up. And I remember the colonel went straight out to him, took his chute off. We helped repack it for him, and he got him straight in the car, drove him straight to the flight line, put another parachute on him, took him straight back up in the plane and pushed him out the very next stick. And his whole mentality was, if you do not jump now, you will never jump again. The dude jumped, and I believe he continued to serve however long he did.
Holy
So
fuck.
I took the same mentality with this 19-year-old who had just had this incident with this 4-year-old, and I caught him out in the car park as he's about to leave. Now,
is this after he's just been sent home?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've chased after him. He's been told knock off. Now I'm the duty manager, so I'm 2IC to the bloke that sent him home. And I remember running after him. I caught him in the car park, and I was like, "You can't go home. He's like, but I just clocked off. I said, don't worry, I'll fix up your hours. I'm going to put you out there with someone else now. So I butted him up. I said, you cannot go home. He lived at Gatton. So we're talking what, hour and a bit drive home from.
That's a long drive to have a really good think.
And he's already blaming himself.
Yep.
So I'm like, you will not come back. And he's like, but I didn't see it. I'm like, the end result was good. We got it. You're actually now more valuable to me than what you were before. Because now you know what it's about. Your instincts are sharper. You've experienced why we train the way we train. And I was pretty hard on these lifeguards because I knew something like that could occur. And that was the reason why we did it. He ended up staying for like 2 more seasons after that.
Yeah. Good.
And that's what he said. He goes, I would have gone home blaming myself the entire time. And so I just butted him up. I said, the next couple of shifts, you're going to have someone with you. Well, not to help you, like not to carry you, but for you to vent and talk about what did you see and just work your way through the trauma that you just experienced. And then I could put him back out on his own. And then when it came to the training, he validated it because he could turn around and go, well, it's true. It happened to me.
Yeah, because something like that would have enhanced his experience and made him a better lifeguard.
100%. He got the end result, came back on like everything worked. The process worked. If he leaves now, he'll never return. He'll sit there, blame himself the entire time. And I now have to train someone else up from scratch who doesn't understand why we do what we do. So it was that experience in the army that I was able to implement in that instance. And yeah, he ended up staying for a couple more seasons.
Yep. With the secondary education and training to be, a high school teacher, what's the sort of go with that? Is like how long in uni do you have to be doing that?
It was a 4-year degree.
Yep.
But I stopped. I sort of stopped and started. I guess I was swayed by the amount of prac I had to do whilst trying to bring in an income. Like a lot of the cohort that I was at uni with were living at home. So there was no stress of having to pay the bills, pay for the car, pay for the, you know what I mean?
Because all of them, they would have been fresh out of high school, starting their, adult life, and you, an experience in the army, full of life experience.
My wife and I, house, cars, dog, like I had to pay for it. So I sort of was in and out, but it really got knocked on the head when I went and did prac at a local state school.
Okay.
So I had I think I got year 8 geography, and I got like a year 12, I guess you could say geography as well, humanities sort of classes I got given. And I remember rocking up and they're like, oh, well, we'll allow you to run it for this week. You pick the topic, you pick this, these are your options. And I was like, okay, well, we were out at Ipswich and they said, you can either pick Chinese or Easter Island. That's what you've got to sort of follow through, like a history element. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go Easter Island. And they're like, oh, well, we were going to go Chinese, but there's just so much more content on it. I'm like, 99% of the students in there are Polynesian. Why would I not teach Easter Island? Like, how am I going to engage them if I teach them something that has nothing to do with them? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And then I started to get this sort of sense that I'm like, okay, it's sort of a red flag for me. I was like, okay. And then I remember them telling me, hey, look, don't worry about what you learn in your degree, because once you get to the school, you'll just adapt to how they want you to work anyway. And I guess I already knew that could be the case, but the fact that there was just the easy route every time. And I remember I had an autistic boy in the front row, and they said, look, if he doesn't engage, don't take it to heart. It's just how he functions. By the end of the week, his arms are up, he's answering questions. I've got all the Polynesian boys who they said were going to cause me trouble engaged. Like, it was super awesome. And I found a really good way to connect was to sort of discuss my past, which gave me credibility. Like, oh, you've done stuff. Like, what was that like? What's this? And so you could engage them on a completely different level just coming from high school. And even to the point of like the year 12 lesson, they had to coordinate like a trip, but I changed it from them organising a trip into sort of like a a twist on Taken, the movie. I'm like, all right, you and your friend have just traveled to here. You've lost your friend. You lost them about 4 hours ago. Where could they be in within 4 hours? What modes of transport are in the region? Have you checked their Facebook? Did they check in? And they started to think along almost like as investigators. And they're like, oh, we didn't think about that. And then 2 of them come up to me at the end of that week and they were like, we're traveling to Europe for schoolies next year. You've given us some good insight to at least check in on Facebook of our location so that there's a known last point that if no one hears from us, because I think everyone thinks the world's all sunshine and rainbows. And so
It's far from that.
yeah, exactly right. So it was cool to see the kids actually engage and take on board what we'd covered off.
Yeah. So you didn't follow through with the degree?
No. So after that, I was really turned off by how they sort of had the mentality behind it. I was still super interested in working in the school, but what annoyed me was within the prac, I'd just shown I could do it. So why am I paying this university all this money to do this degree when I can already, like, you know what I mean? Like it had already effectively done. Now, I'm sure there's going to be academics out there that go, well, no, you didn't do your 40 units, so no, you can't be a teacher. You didn't register. But I'm like, if I've already done it, I'm only providing this university money to do it. And I got turned off the business side of university. And now having done it, it almost goes back to high school where back in the day it was get a trade, go to uni. Essentially, they were the 2 routes you brought up following until you find a job. And I look back now and I'm like, there are so many ways around year 12 that with my children, when it comes to year 12, the pressure I had on me to get a good UAI at the time, or ATAR as they know now, it was so, like, there was kids there stressing, like kids kill themselves over trying to achieve a good ATAR. But there's so many ways around it. Like, I look now and I'm like, if you want to go to university, right, say you don't get the right ATAR, you bomb out. You go do the bridging course at the university and you rejoin the degree you want to be in with all your mates in year 2. You've lost no time. You just went a different route. But those routes aren't highlighted. A lot of the time it's get a good grade in year 12 and you'll go to uni. Well, that's not the only way to get there. But I feel like it's these kids stress over that element. So that's why I'm focusing with my kids. I'm like, look, we can work around it. Even if you want to go do a trade, right? You go to a trade, these days you can do 2 years at school, year 11, year 12. You get out, you go do 2 more years. With that 4-year qualification, you can then go do an engineering degree, potentially go into a master's. And if not, you're ahead of the game and you're paying for your own degree compared to going in through HEX. So I don't know. I just think the business of uni is, oh yeah, high schoolers come here, come do it this way. But there's so many other routes that people aren't aware of.
Would you, and this is just coming from a sense, you know, when your kids grow up, are you pressuring them, or I don't know if the word is pressuring, but encouraging? Are you encouraging them to finish school? Are you encouraging them to finish year 12? Would you be comfortable if they said, Dad, I want to drop out after year 10. I want to get my year 10 certificate. I want to go get a trade.
I see where you're coming from, and I get it. I would guide them through to year 12.
Okay.
Purely just to, even if it's just to complete their trade, get those first 2 years under your belt at school where the support is, and then move in to those other elements afterwards. So now the fact that you can do 2 years of your trade at year 11 and year 12 now, I'm not against them doing a trade, but I'd rather them stick it out and see the whole way through high school and go that way.
Yeah, okay.
And if university's the go, then I'll happily, support that as well. I know it's not the only way. If it's not the case, then it's not the case. But yeah, definitely see it through.
Yeah, 100%. So I was sort of next after you'd sort of given up on the uni side of things.
So I ended up, when I got out, you obviously get your separation training and all that sort of jazz. I then went and did so I'd already got HR through the defence, or heavy rigid driver's license through defence. I then went and did and upgraded it to MC.
Okay.
So I then left lifeguarding and went and did B-double trucking out at Larapinta.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was running curtain B-doubles out of there. Hats off to the company for taking me on green. And because I did not know how to drive a B-double one bit. I could drive the truck, no dramas, but reversing into some of these docks and that we had to get into was insane. And I remember ringing the guy one time. I'd loaded the wrong trailer combination the wrong way. So on your A trailer, you can't load it up fully because the trailer will tip because all the weight's at the front for the B trailer to come onto. And so I'd snookered it. I'd split the load, loaded the A. Now I can't drop it. I have to have the B on it to hold it up. And I remember ringing and I was just super stressed trying to get it right. And the guy that I rang, he's like, man, don't worry, I'll send another driver out there. It's all good. And had it not been for the patience they gave me, I probably would have quit within a week.
Yeah,
I was super stressed. But then I was doing like Tuesday to Saturday. They'd clear my Saturday and they just had me reversing in the yard all day. And I was like, what's the tip to this? Like, is there a trick? Am I looking for a thing? They said, once you get it, you just get it. And weirdly enough, they were right. Every situation was slightly different, but when you just got the feel for where everything was meant to be, came in. And I ended up doing that for about, a year and a little bit over a year.
Yep.
And then I got a job as a contractor with Defence, instructing on the MAN vehicles.
Yeah, okay. The guy, Ryan, my audio guy, he obviously he's going to listen to this. He works for Followmont and he drives the Get Yourself Checked truck.
Yep, nice.
So he drives that, so he's probably going to get a good laugh listening to this.
Yeah, man, it's gnarly. There is an art to it, and I remember just being at some of those depots and I'd watch some of those, the Followmonts, I think it was SVG. Anyway, some of those companies come in and they just smooth as butter, mate. Just put it straight in. You're like, wow. Mind you, I hadn't had half the experience. And the community, the trucking community was really good. I found like I had some Islander truckies get out and I was stressing. I was sweating bullets. I was just like ready to throw it in. And he got out and he just talked to me I just went down my window and he's just like, it's all right, man. All right, little left hand down, and just guided me. He wasn't a driver trainer. He wasn't nothing. Just willing to help me out.
Yeah, he's and I'll give him a plug here. He started his own podcast called Trucking with Podge.
Okay,
great concept of what he's doing. He's getting other truck drivers in for a chat, sort of talk about the journey through trucking and sort of like the behind the scenes of it. So it's a really good insight to truck driving, because I believe this. Without trucks, Australia stops.
100%.
So I think what he's sort of doing is opening up the world to truck drivers in Australia.
Well, I still truck now casually. So some of my stories on Instagram and that, buddy, I think I did 15 hours the other day.
Yeah, right.
So I just drive woolies out of Larapinta on weekends now, just because given my current Monday to Friday, it just gets me out of the house, out on the road, and sort of ties me back to sort of where it all came from anyway.
Sort of grounds you, sort of.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Talk to me through getting back with Defence. Like, obviously you're contracted to them, but you're sort of stepping back into that world. How does that sort of happen?
It was fairly easy, actually. They were just looking for military driving instructors, and I was like, well, I'd been posted to it when I'm posted up here. Originally, I was out of air dispatching into trucking. So I'd been posted at the truck unit in Amberley. And then this opportunity came up. And funnily enough, a lot of the dudes I worked with in the Army had gotten out and they were there then operating or instructing. So it was really good to get back into that space. What was new for me was being the contractor within Defence, where I look at that community. I'm like, oh, I'm a part, or I was a part of this. But they see it as, oh, no, you're a contractor now. You aren't. And so there was a bit of a culture shock there, because you're like, oh, I'm back on the base I worked on. I'm back with the uniform. Like, not that I wore it, but back with the uniform members that I was in. But they didn't see it like that. They saw it as in, oh, hang on, and rightfully so, you're not a service member anymore. You're
an outsider.
You're a paid instructor, yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay, cool. And then once you knew your boundaries, it was pretty straightforward.
What was there any challenges that you sort of tackled doing that? Because, like you said, you're not a uniform member. You're a contractor. Like, obviously there would have been a bit of banter there, but instructing these new people on how to do their job, even though you're not a uniform member anymore.
It was different.
Yeah,
because I'd had more time in uniform than some of those dudes that were there at that unit, and some more so than me. And other instructors had been there way longer, had probably way more kilometres under their belt trucking for defence than what some of those people in that office, from the military standpoint, had.
What year was this?
2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just before COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because that was a whirlwind of a time going through that. But yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, was like, you're like, oh, the banter. You got to be mindful, because whilst you are from that community, they are now the client. So you have to be very careful on that professional line of now being a contractor and not falling into the banter you would have had with your soldiers back in the day. So that was a bit of an eye-opener.
And where were you stationed at?
Amberley.
Amberley, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Did you only work at Greenbank?
That's where we would do all our off-road driving.
Oh, okay.
So out at Greenbank, they've got what's called this SDA, which is Safe Driving Area. And they've also got their off-road truck course there as well.
Yeah, because that's like, this is just going from knowledge of being around this area for a long time. Like, you know, you've got the entry there at Greenbank, but then it goes all the way up to
Forest Lake there.
Forest Lake, Forestdale area, and like that, and then it goes on to the Centenary, heading towards like northern suburbs.
Yep.
That area there. So like that's right. So it's a fairly big base, and like, so obviously, because I know they've got signs that have said like, you know, live shooting these days, blah,
Correct.
blah, blah.
Yep.
So they do all that there?
All of it.
Yeah, okay.
Demolitions, small arms, rifles, all that jazz.
Yeah.
So all the ranges are there. So when I was in, we'd go there for range shoots, but we used to go through the Forest Lake entrance. The Forest Lake entrance now is just sealed off. Now that main entrance on this side of Greenbank is now the go-to.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why all those truck wash bay areas are there, is because obviously...
that's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So when you come off-roading, so you don't take mud onto the road and flick it everywhere, come out, gurney all your trucks down, and then we drive back to Amberley.
When you're doing this driver instructing and, like, you know, you're on base, you're helping out, is there any part of you that's sort of thinking, fuck, maybe I actually do want to get back in?
I miss it a lot all the time in moments, because I miss how it was when I was in.
Yep.
Give me the same people, give me the same, you know what I mean? I miss that moment in time. I do miss being a soldier, but I don't know if I'd want to be involved in that capacity in today's military. Just because of the way it's changed, I'd probably end up in trouble. You know what I mean? I'd probably say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing and get fragged for it.
Yeah.
But there were elements of it, definitely. But I liked the instructing element too, for the fact that I could pass on what I knew from B-double driving now that I knew these guys didn't have. They were coming from medium rigids or heavy rigids, and they'd only ever driven for defense. And you're like, well, there's so much more to it. And I cross-pollinate the knowledge with the civilian truck drivers as well. Like, you see some of them and you're like, use all the space available to you, because especially in defense, they'll want to just keep left and then try and make the turn from the left-hand turn. And you're like, man, we're 15 meters long. You're not going to make it. You're going to take out the bloody post. Make your position known, take up all the space you can, and if anything, prevent them from doing anything. Like other drivers, I mean. So it occurred to me when I was coming out of Forest Lake, I was in a B-double, and I had my B trailer in the left lane, A trailer in the right lane, and I was turning left at a roundabout. As my B trailer tracked into the right lane, as I'm coming around the corner, a postie rode up the inside. And the B trailer cut the corner, obviously, as it would. And I didn't see him until I got around onto the straight, look in my mirror, and all I see is letters all over the grass. Because what had happened is he mounted the gutter to get away from the B trailer cutting across, because he thought he could get in front. But the lane he was trying to take ended within like 5 meters of the turn. And so I've taken that experience on, and I'm just like, just take up all the room you can and do not allow them an inch, because they'll take it.
Because you like to think, and I know this is a saying that was always said, but you'd like to think common sense would prevail, but some people just don't get the concept of what you're trying to do.
No matter how obvious you make it either. So, yeah, like I said, I took up 2 lanes with a left indicator on, and he saw the B-trailer move, despite the prime going around the corner, and tried to make the scoop for it.
Yep. Coming into 2019, obviously COVID hits like towards the end of 2019. How was COVID for you, and what did you sort of go through?
I survived it pretty well in comparison to how other people suffered through that time. Being contracted with defence, there were elements in place, but our contract was maintained through that period. So we were pretty lucky that there was no real loss of income or anything through that period purely because of that contract with defence.
Yep. Did you have to get like any mandatory shots done?
No.
No? Okay.
No, there was no requirement for it, but the mask thing was a big thing, especially when you're trying to instruct from a driving perspective. Like it was masks on in the cabs and all that sort of jazz. It's funny now though, you look back on it and you're like, what a waste of time. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Like the amount of resources that got on it, and all that I see anyone that's gained from that moment or from that period of time is the cost of everything went up, and nothing's returning despite how good it got. And it just seems to have been this flow-on effect of how we live today.
Yeah, it's like
crazy.
they say that we're back to normal, but are we really? Like,
no.
Everything's gone up, and they're sort of thinking, well, we'll just keep it that way.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, why would they go back? Everyone's accustomed now to living that way.
Yep.
Crazy.
How long were you doing the driver training for?
I was there for till the end of contract, which would have been about June 2021.
Okay. What was next after that?
So then I just moved into the contractor space. So I work with clients now in the e-learning environment.
Okay.
So I went from physical instruction and facilitation now into specializing in Moodle, which is a form of learning management system.
Okay, and what are you sort of teaching there? Is it still driving or?
No, so I'm a system administrator. So I'm just coordinating user access, helping facilitate the entire system so that people and clients can use it appropriately.
And what sort of stuff are you offering?
So I manage their systems for training. So there's a range of training from logistics to security. All our clients are predominantly defence and national security clients.
Yeah, okay. How do you sort of come about that? Because that's a pretty unique job in its own.
Me and my mates still laugh about it. So I saw my old corporal from the army posted a thing on Facebook going, if anyone's looking for a job, give me a bell. And I was like, okay, what's this about? So I messaged him and I was like, hey, my contract's coming to an end. What's going on here? And my previous company had received a contract to conduct the air dispatch training online. So it was to move all the facilitation and learnings from air dispatch physically into the virtual space of e-learning within Army. And I was like, okay. And we were going to be employed as the SMEs, as the subject matter experts on air dispatch. So we're like, okay, yep, we know who in the zoo to talk to. All our mates are still at the unit, so we're able to coordinate the expertise and the training and sort of put it all together. And that's where it kicked off, purely from a Facebook post. And we still laugh about it today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Obviously, your old corporal mate, he wasn't in at all?
No, he'd gotten out too.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So he'd been headhunted for the position.
Yep.
And then he was looking for anyone else who was keen to jump on board and get involved. And then that started our e-learning journey, and we're still doing it to today. So that's what, 2021 to now.
Yeah, okay. And so have you progressed up the ladder at all, like the career ladder as they call it?
Yeah, so I'm now the Associate Director of Learning Systems, and my mate is the Director of Learning Systems.
Yeah, okay.
So we now, offer the services of whether it's learning design, whether it's course management, course delivery, all that jazz. We we're the one-stop shop now.
Yeah, right. And is that Australia wide or is that just in Queensland?
Australia, international.
Yeah, okay.
Wherever it's required.
Yeah. Do you have some? Yeah, obviously you'd have some pretty big contracts with some pretty big clients.
Yeah, predominantly our clients are Australian based.
Okay.
But our Moodle's so international. But there's also a number of different LMSs that we can operate on. That if the client was to come from overseas, but they utilise that learning management system, we can facilitate it definitely.
Yeah, cool. One of the biggest things that I've sort of taken away from, seeing all over your socials and all that sort of stuff is Team Tooney Fishing.
Yep.
Where does the idea for Team Tooney Fishing come into play?
I was thinking about you asking this question actually, and Team Tooney actually wasn't started by me. The idea was from friends when I was playing rugby in Sydney.
Okay.
They came to a grand final and it had Team Tooney on this massive sheet they'd painted up with all my old rugby colours, and friends and my missus and all that just rocked up to the game on the hill. And so Team Tooney became this thing at rugby where, Team Tooney's here. It was just a little fan group of friends that would rock up to games. And then one day, 2017, I'm at BCF looking at fishing jerseys and I'm like, everyone's got these jerseys. Like you go down the boat ramp, there's nothing special about them because there'll be 15 other blokes with the same Shimano shirt. I probably shouldn't say their name, but you know what I mean? Like other businesses that have those jerseys. And I'm like, touche, like what the markup on them, they're probably paying $2 a unit. Not that I thought about the business in the time, I just didn't want to look like everyone else. So I looked into how do I get my own jerseys made purely for me and the old man to go fishing.
You didn't want to be a sheep, you wanted to be a shepherd.
Yeah, exactly right. So we got two designed, and then we had like a digicam design originally, and I hit up Quintrex and asked if I could put their logo across the front of our jersey just to make it look cool. And they were like, yeah, sweet, like go for it. So we plastered it on my shirt and the old man's, and then someone found, we were walking past somewhere and they're like, "Oi, where'd you get your jersey from? We haven't seen them around." And I'm like, "Oh, they're custom." And they're like, "How do we get one?" And that's what sparks Team Tooney Fishing, was purely the lack of design and the amount of shirts that were out there that looked the same, to us designing our own, to that one person asking, "Hey, how do I get one?"
Yeah, right.
And I thought, maybe there's something in this. So I followed through with it. So our original logo was an anchor. Pretty,
Standard,
yeah. And then it sort of evolved. I come up with a bunch of different designs. We've always paid homage to defense. The camo was always a big influence. And then I thought, maybe I've got to start doubling down on this and see what comes of it. So the logo, the pelican, is actually the mascot of the Air Dispatch Squadron unit mascot.
Oh, that you were in?
Yeah, so
nice.
My unit within Army, the pelican was the mascot, so I used the pelican to come across because no one in fishing was using pelicans at the time. So I was like, it kind of fits everything. And I got a local veteran, Cody's Art, to do up the logo for me, and we took off from there. So we've always sort of supported a charity as we've gone and got really serious. Currently, our charity of choice is young veterans.
Yep.
So we always try to promote them. Look, we try and donate what we can, but it's expensive just to operate a bloody website now. But if I can spruik them and hopefully get them out there, that people might throw a couple of bucks their way and help some veterans afterwards. And then, we've got sponsors involved for like competitions when we go down the Flatty Classic and get involved in that. Sponsors want to be involved, so it's good fun.
Is there what sort of stuff are you selling? Is that the right word?
So the catalogue of products we've got at the moment are hats, jerseys. We just did a run with Budgie Smuggler.
Okay.
So Budgie Smugglers are available. I've sort of gone away from stocking items now because you might have a medium in stock, but someone wants an extra large. So I've gone back to the pre-order style of it.
Yeah, okay.
I think over the next year, where do I see Team Tooney Fishing going is we probably move away from the retail element. I would really love to have an invitational fishing team. So there's a bunch of comps around the country, $1 Million Barra, you've got SCF's King of Kings in Yeppoon.
Yep.
The Flatty Classic, Malakuta down in Victoria. So some really good comps. What my dream would be is to get some sponsorship together for an annual sponsorship rather than event sponsorship, and then take a team of just a bunch of good dudes and we go and fish those comps and sort of create, like in rugby you got the bars, or you got those touring teams, the Lions, who are just a combination of everyone and go on a trip and, have an epic time. That's essentially what we want to try and drum up.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, man. And you know what I mean? Like, and build the brand value through that with Team Tooney Fishing, because the retail's good, but the first thing you cop is, but I can go buy a Shimano for $40, or I can go buy an Abu Garcia jersey, or, some other company at BCF, I can get 2 for $100.
Yep.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to explain, like, go. Or get one of our jerseys and check them out. I don't skimp on quality with our gear. And something I've learned through this business journey is don't ever fall into the trap of trying to prove why you're better, because you invite the argument. Yeah. I can only provide you the ways in which we are different, because you can't challenge that.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? We're veteran owned. We support local businesses. You know what I mean? Like, if I start going, our quality's better, well, it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And so I don't fall into that sort of, we're better than this, better than that. We are just different. We're Aussie, and it is what it is.
I shared something on Instagram a few days ago, and this is probably something that would sort of relate to what you just said, with someone coming up to you, like even if it was friends or family, coming up to you and saying, I can go buy a shirt from BCF or Tackle World, that's a bit cheaper. But I shared this thing, and I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see it, no.
So it's basically just a picture of Bart Simpson, and it was pretty much just AI generated. But he's holding a sign and it says, "Support your friends and family, just like you support celebrities who don't even know you exist."
It's so true. And I don't know if you've experienced this. I found friends and family the hardest to get on board.
Yep.
The hardest.
Doing this podcast, friends and family.
What are you wasting your time for?
Yeah.
What are you, like, you're not going to make $1 million out of it. You're not going to do, my brand awareness is worth more to me than my sales. Like, yeah, sales are good, but I've been down the Gold Coast and someone saw my ute with the Team Tooney Fishing. "Oh, we follow you on Instagram," like yelling out at us. "We follow you on Instagram," like giving us a shout out. The Flatty Classic, the young kids. "Oh, we follow you guys on socials." Like, that's the sort of interaction I love. And how often do they get to meet Mr. Shimano or Mr. Abu Garcia? You know what I mean? Probably never.
Mr. Tackle World.
Exactly right. Like, I like that ability to be able to converse with everyone and show them what it's about. And it's not for everyone. If you don't want to get on board, that's cool. You know what I mean? But we're here if you want to.
Yeah. So obviously you're an avid fisher.
Yes.
Fisherman, sorry.
Yep. Like I said to Knuckles that time, I am a professional amateur.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love getting out there. And if we don't score anything, then just being out in the boat in the water is just as much a bloody win for me as catching a big one.
Yeah. So when you sort of first start, dabbling into the side of making merch, hats, shirts, stubby coolers, what sort of routes do you socks? I actually just noticed that. That's awesome. What sort of routes do you need to take? Like, are you looking online at different suppliers? Are you mix and matching? Like, break down the whole backstory of it.
It's hard. So sublimation is purely the best form for quality and for the long-lasting sort of kit.
Yep.
Trying to find a sublimator in Australia is awfully difficult. And that's the first thing everyone says is, "Oh, do you support Australia?" I'm like, I could, but it'll be a $450 shirt by the time we order it. Like, there's some give and takes with it. And I think that's probably a good reason for the charity element as well, is that we still give back to Australian charities in that regard. But trying to find a sublimator was super difficult.
Just for people that don't know, what is sublimating?
Okay, so it's the process in which a pattern, colour, design is transferred onto clothing.
Yep.
So basically they'll print it on paper, cut out the pieces of garment, put it on top, and then they bake it across and it transfers that way. rather than like a screen print, which is ink put onto a shirt. And a lot of the time you find people will do promotional stuff with screen print because it's cheaper, but over time it'll peel.
Yep.
Okay, not always, but sometimes. Or fade, where sublimation is imprinted into the fabric and is just super durable. Obviously, we've gone to hoods on our fishing shirts as well, because I find the biggest argument, I'll come back to it. Hoods on, mowing the lawn, you can put your hat on, your head sock, if you want a head sock. We've got Pro Series jerseys now that have the head sock built into them, which is super handy for being on the boat. You don't have to worry about whether you brought it or not. So yeah, sublimation's super hard. I go through a middleman because he does all my designs, or they do all my designs as well. So I pay a premium for that service, but when I compare the quality of product in the end, go to BCF, feel around, I can feel that they've gone for mass production over time, where mine are made through Reprieve, which is recycled material, plastic bottles, and the thickness of material, the stitching, the everything just seems to be that next level up. And that's what I identified within the fishing jerseys is everyone's like, oh, I can get them cheaper, I can get them cheaper. No one took the premium gap in the market. And I was like, you know what? No, our gear is premium. So I've priced it accordingly, and that's the element we're going to take. I found with fishing, across a lot of the brands and merch and apparel mobs that are now popping up, they're fighting for that piece of the market that everyone wants to be super cheap. And I'm like, well, that's not the route we're going to take. I'm going to maintain the quality because that's what people are going to recognize my brand with. And we're just going to take the top end. I'm not going to say we're Gucci, but you don't walk into Gucci hoping to pay Kmart prices.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like I said, I don't have any ill will. Everyone's pinching for $1 at the moment, but we hold quality gear.
Yeah, and that's sort of what you want the end goal to be, is you want your brand to be known for quality.
Definitely.
Quality over quantity, sort of.
Definitely. You do one bad shirt and boom, tarnished, which is why my costs are premium, but that's why we're priced premium, is because I don't want to afford. I could go to Vietnam, I could go get super cheap jerseys, and that works for some people, but I don't want my brand to be recognized with it. And I sort of, with my other products, I'm bouncing with other people as well. Like we're here wearing Knuckles CTC hats. It's leveraging each other to help promote each other. He's known for his quality in truckers. Hey, that's what I want to be known with. Budgies, known for their quality swimwear. That's what we want to be known with. I don't want to be considered Anko from Kmart. But I don't want to, I'm not shitting on them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that that's the route we're taking.
Yeah, 100%. Are you guys looking at doing the possibility of like fishing gear, like fishing rods, lures, anything like that? Is there anything in the works for that?
Not at this point in time. I wouldn't mind partnering with someone if that's the way they want to go and do a series of rods that are, you know what I mean?
Team Tooney special.
Along that line. Like,
yep.
There could be a super cool veteran spin on that sort of stuff. Like, come to the armory. You know what I mean? We're working here. We're firing. You know what I mean? Come to the armory and get your weapon of choice. You know what I mean? Could be a 6-foot spin rod or a 7.5-foot bait caster. But, you know what I mean? I'd be more inclined to work with people in that element. I really would like to see that invitational style of touring team come out probably in the future rather than doing tackle. There's a lot of people doing it. Some do it better than others, and finding that line, there's a lot of R&D trying to identify quality stuff that I'm like, I probably don't have the time at this infancy of Team Tooney Fishing. Like, we've been around since 2017, but our brand awareness is probably our biggest thing.
Is there a thing for you to possibly want to do this full time? Is there a way for you to do it full time?
Potentially. I've looked at potentially going down the non-for-profit route as well and doing veteran fishing trips and sort of giving back to the community that way. But other people are doing that, and I'd rather help them push up than
take something away from them.
Then try and compete. Yeah. I'm really happy in our space of just doing content. A lot of people say to me, why don't you do veteran tours and that? And I'm like, to be honest, there's some mates I wouldn't go fishing with for 4 hours a day. That annoy the hell out of me. So I'm like, I'm very aware of it. But what we aim to do is advocate for the life that can be had after defence. A lot of people find that, the black dog chase them a little bit. And what we try to show is it's like, go live, go check it out. There's fun to be had. Get out there and do it.
Yeah, and that's probably another thing that I forgot to bring up with you as well. Like, a lot of people have been in for defence for so long, that's all they know. As soon as they leave school, they're straight into the Defence Force. They're in there for, 5, 10, 15 years, even longer, and then they come out and they're into civilian life.
Yep.
They don't know what to do with themselves.
And that's why through Team Tooney Fishing, we're trying to highlight and advocate that there is a life to be had. Don't worry about what you were. There are times where I look back and I'm like, I could get sad about it, but I almost take it now as it was a job I had. Do you know what I mean? I'm no longer that now. This is where we're at. And that's probably the way we help people is just go, boy, keep track, stay on board, let's go. This is what you can do too.
Yep, 100%. I listened to something today. Can you tell me or what it was? What is moist tackle fishing?
So that was a little bit of play on words. I have had, I wouldn't say arguments, but there's been so many discussions around the use of moist tackle. It was purely a way for us to stay in people's heads because some people despise the word.
Yeah. Moist.
But it's only how you interpret it.
Yeah.
And I leave that purely up to everyone. Mind you, majority of the people that have issue with it are female. And I can see why. But I could put wet tackle. You know what I mean? Like this.
It's not as appealing.
Exactly. So the reason we put it in there was it plays to the larrikinism of the Australian soldier and that it would rub some people the wrong way. Like it's almost that the bait. But also it was a way of people remembering Team Tooney Fishing, like moist tackle, like what? And it's a really funny discussion point.
Because what I listened to today was you'd given your supplier a logo, and you didn't pick up on it.
So we did a run of a ton of Major and Langham got one as well, and no one picked up on it because the brand awareness was so strong that it just looks the same. But it wasn't until I was in the line and someone behind me went moist tackle fishing, and I was like, what? How have they put that together? And then I looked at the logo and it was a concept art. So I was in the process of potentially thinking Team Tooney Fishing wasn't the right way, that maybe moist tackle fishing was the way to go to forward for us.
Yep.
And so I got a concept artwork done up. Now, stupidly, when I went and got the design and the artwork done for the jerseys for that year, I had sent the concept art, not the logo. I signed off on it. My artist accepted it. No one picked up on it until this one drunk dude in line to register for the Flatty Classic brought it up. And that was what sparked it. And I was like, oh. So I rang my supplier. I was like, delete that file, dude. Never use it again until we talk about it. But yeah, it purely came from that.
Could come back as a rare sort of piece of art.
Well, on the budgies.
Yeah.
On the budgies, I've included it on the front because once again, it plays on, you know what I mean, moist tackle. You're going to get wet if you're wearing budgies in the water. So we thought, it fits.
Yeah.
Put it on the front, logo on the back, and go from there. And the reason we paired up with budgies was I wear them when I go fishing, purely just under boardies or whatever, quick dry. It's nice and easy, under footy shorts. And so I was like, I'm up for a new set. So I messaged Budgie Customs and was like, let's get this done. And they're like, yep, let's do it. And then I just threw it out there and ended up selling quite a few pairs. So I was like, oh, sweet. Must be something people are interested in. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think, and this comes to Klutzy from Bloody Brown Beers, because he has a thing with budgie smugglers, and he's just got an absolute dad bod of a rig. But when you see a guy like that wearing budgie smugglers, and you know, a guy like me, I could be like, fuck, you know what? I actually might look that good in budgies too. He's
been with him for a while too, hasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I played rugby against him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so he played for Jeeps over at Ashgrove.
Okay.
And I come up against him on a Friday night and, mate, top bloke. Good for a bit of a laugh, that bloke. He was life of the party, definitely after footy and around the bar.
Yeah. You were talking earlier before, I think even before we started, that you went to the Potty Royale. Was it last year? Did you go? Or did you go to both?
No, so I only went to the last one because the boys, Langham and Major, were going.
Yep.
And so they gave me one of their tickets and I was like, all right, well, for you allowing me to come, I'll film for you. So alongside Tristo and that, I just filmed them. And it got to the point where when they were walking over for the fight, I was like, I'm just going to follow them. No one's hit me up for a ticket yet. And I walked straight into the back of the sheds, like where everyone was getting ready. And I just had the camera in hand, but because everyone was doing it, we just got let through. And the boys, we ended up going through the wrong door and we walked the entire way around the building. But it looked awesome because it was like a UFC entry. Like you're walking past the sound guys, the TV guys, the lighting guys in the tunnels. Like it looked really cool. And I was like, oh, this is epic. And what an event. Like I said to Langham actually the other day, I was like, how do I get involved? I was like, I want to get in there and have a bit of a round. He goes, you got to be on a potty. I'm like, maybe if I just guest enough podcasts, Knuckles will give me the call up in the heavyweight division and be like,
yeah, well, there you go.
Come have a crack. Let's go.
Well, I think they're looking not only for podcasters, but influencers as well. So, mate, put your application in.
Mate, there you go. I'm definitely going to have a crack because I was like, man, they were short. So Goxie was running late and they thought he wasn't going to show. And so I was like, Major looked at me and he's like, should we just throw, because we're at the weigh-in and Goxie's nowhere to be seen. And they're like, is he even going to come do this fight? And we're all looking around and I was like,
yeah, just put your hand up.
I was like, I'm 125 kegs. I was like, well, we can probably pull this off. Let's go. And it was the night before.
Yep.
And Goxie obviously ended up showing up. But that was pretty funny. But I was just like, how good is it to see the podcast community lift everybody up? I feel like in the veteran community, it's getting better. Veteran businesses and influencers and that sort of stuff. But it's very much, were you combat core? Were you not combat core? Did you do anything overseas? Did you not do anything overseas? Rather than just in the podcast world, it's everyone just, like you said earlier, everyone just bringing everyone up.
Yeah. Sort of just like when you come back to the army thing, like it's, it's what you did or what you didn't do. It's not, hey, we all served Australia. We're all one
Exactly
team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's gates to credibility with veterans.
Yep.
But no, the podcast royal was epic. Did you end up going? You didn't go, did you?
No, I didn't. I was, I had the Fraser trip and then got tonsillitis and then was in hospital. And then I was saying to Taylor that, like, because I got out of hospital on the Thursday and I'd been shot up with a whole lot of antibiotics. And I was like, do we get it? Because I think there was still a couple of tickets, like standing tickets.
Yep.
Like, do we just get a couple of tickets and go down? But when Saturday rolled around, I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, no.
So I think I just laid on the lounge and just ordered it. And then I think I got to about the fourth or fifth fight before the stream actually started working properly because
I heard that. Yeah,
problems with it.
Well, they sold it. Better Beer was a sponsor, and Better Beer ran out.
Yeah,
they sold the joint out, and everyone was like, "Oh!" So hopefully,
where do you hear that happen?
Well, tell me about it. So hopefully next year, Better Beer double down on their supply because we were on it all day. We were like, "Yeah, this is good to go." And I hadn't really had Better Beer prior to it.
Yep.
I actually spoke with Better Beer for the Flatty Classic last year.
Oh, okay.
But I think I left it a little bit too late because I was like, "Hey, do you want to be our beer sponsors for the Flatty Classic? Like, we can do logos on jerseys and try to really work it out with them because the amount of work they're doing in that space is crazy. Like for all the podcasts and that, we were like, oh, we'll throw out the invite. And I'm a firm believer, like even from that early days in politics, if you don't ask, mate, it's a guaranteed no.
Yep.
But you never know just by asking. Someone might go, you know what, let's do it.
Yep. So what's sort of on the agenda for Team Tooney, for Heath? What's sort of the go today?
At the moment, we've just finished up our most recent pre-order for budgies. They should be arriving next week, I believe. So we should have them out a week after. We should have them out before Chrissy. I've just put in another pre-order for shirts, but I've opened up the pre-orders for our jerseys and budgies, and I'll close them at the end of December.
Okay.
It's usually about a 6 or 7 week turnaround just because of the process to manufacture.
Just for context, this episode will come out in 2026, but when you do put the stuff up, I'll be sure to share it all.
Yeah, no dramas, man. So yeah, we'll probably do another pre-order early next year.
Yep.
And now we will start to reach out to sponsors or potential sponsors and see what sort of stuff we can drum up. A lot of the time we do it just for the Flatty Classic. That allows us to fund accommodation, people, fuel, all that sort of jazz to go. Hopefully next year we can get a bit more of a boost, and then we might be able to look at potentially increasing our competitions that we get involved in, go from there.
Yeah, cool. Well, do you have like you don't need to say, but do you have a favourite fishing spot, certain fish you like to catch?
To be honest, I just like being out in the water. Okay. I went fishing early at the start of the year at 1770.
Yep.
And we went a couple of hours offshore with the missus' cousin in his boat and got me first Spanish mackerel.
Nice.
And that was epic. So I was like, oh, sweet. So I want to try and get north a bit.
Yep.
There is one comp I want to do, which is Malakuta, black bream and big flatties.
Whereabouts is
down there, Victoria.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind getting down there, but yeah, I'm pretty much open to everything. I'd like to learn a little bit more freshwater. It could be potentially on the cards next year to try and find someone who's into freshwater and maybe just get them some Team Tooney kit and
mate, I'll come with you.
Show us how it's done, man.
I love fishing. I just never get the time to do it because we used to, as kids, we used to take a family holiday down to Stewart's Point.
Yep.
It's about 30 minutes north of Kempsey. So, and we used to stay at the little holiday park there, and you have the Clay River that goes through there and then over the bridge, and then it's about a 5-10 minute walk and you're at the beach.
That's mad.
So like, and there was certain spots because I have family that live down there too, and they sort of know all the secret spots.
Yep.
So I always used to go fishing there as a kid, but never really, like I've been to Jacob's Well and all that sort of stuff, but like
everyone goes there.
Yeah, I know, and that's sort of the problem that you everyone goes there. You don't want to be that follower.
I've been trying to get out in the bay a little bit more just to learn more because I've always been pinned south.
Yep.
I really want to try and get pinned north. I want to try and get a bit more experience up around the bay area, even maybe getting offshore. There's another dude on YouTube, Outerline. He does a bit of work out of the bay. I think he's a Ready Bay boy. But funnily enough, talking about, we went away on holidays just before the Flatty Classic down to Foster Tuncurry.
Okay.
I put the boat in, so I just put on this new boat latch. So I have the ability to drive up on the trailer and it just hooks on. And same for a release. You drive forward, it unhooks, and you go in the water. And I remember setting the boat up. I was like, sweet, we're good to go. So I unhook the boat. I drive in, my car and trailer's still on the boat ramp. And I always go through a bit of a figure eight with the boat, make sure everything's working, electrics are on. And I'm like, man, we're getting a bit heavy on the right here. And I'm like, something's not right. And I don't know why, but I immediately just went, because I've never been in that situation before, I flicked the bilge on and it's pumping water. And I was like, I didn't put the fucking bugs in. And so I literally just put the throttle down to try and get up on the plane, try and drop some of the water, and the bow's starting to climb. And I'm like, oh no. Luckily I was about 6 meters off the ramp and I just ram it onto the trailer. I get the hook catches, and I yell out to my mate and I'm like, oh, you come pull the fucking ute forward. Pulls me forward and just liters start pouring out the back. Oh. And I was like, lucky I didn't send it, because on the plane it's not really going to take on, but I could have been out in the middle of, in Wallace Lake and sunk it. So I got super lucky that time, and to the point now where I've just had a decal artwork approved, which is what did I call it? GTB, get your bungs, and put a picture of a bung on there. So now I've made a decal up over that story.
Yep.
That I'll be throwing up and definitely stick it on the back of the boat just to remember.
Yeah, just give yourself a reminder.
Oh, mate, I was furious. It was in front of everyone too, all my old mates from school and that. They're just like, you forgot the bungs, didn't you? And I was like, shh.
No, I was just doing this mad trick, driving the boat onto the trailer.
Yeah, I was checking the latch.
You just said before about a YouTube show. Have you had sort of any idea on maybe starting your own? Like, I know you do socials and stuff, but like starting your own show or little vlogs here and there?
I've never been the one that wants to talk, today we're going to be chasing flatties with this lure. That's it for some people. I'd rather just show having a good time, because I think more people can relate to that.
Yep.
But I have started a series on YouTube, and I started quite a while ago. So YouTube's been going, I think I'm at 403 subscribers at the moment. So I'm
Nice.
pushing for the 500.
Fuck yeah.
But I identified a space. So I was in the SCF Sunshine Coast competition. Don't do much fishing up there. So I was like, where am I going to put the boat in? So I started reviewing boat ramps, and I'm looking, and I have to jump on Google Earth. Is it a concrete ramp? Is it a dirt ramp? Is there parking? Is there lighting? How safe is it? And so I had to do all this research into going to this boat ramp, and I'm like, the idea struck that, I'm going to do boat ramp reviews. How handy would it be to be able to go onto YouTube and see where the local tackle shop is? Is there a toilet? Is there, because like when you got kids, is there a toilet? Is there someone to get something to eat? What facilities are around? Is the infrastructure good? Is it crap? So I started a YouTube series called Boat Ramp Reviews, where I literally just travel around, go to different boat ramps and review the boat ramp, so that people that are looking to go to those regions and fish out of that spot can jump on YouTube and see. None of them really go over 15 minutes. I always try to keep it short, sharp, and simple. But I cover off, is there toilets available? Is there power? Is there cameras? Is there lighting? What's the condition of the boat ramp? Is it good? Is it trash? Does it seem safe? Is there a jetty? A whole heap of different things. So land-based fishers, I guess, could use it too. But I thought there was just a bit of a gap in that knowledge. So I was like, I'm just going to get out there and share the love a little bit.
How's it been going?
Good, actually. And it's been awesome in the fact that, like, I went down to Coffs Harbour. I did some boat ramps down there. I didn't do 1770, but I've been up north and done a few up there. Foster. Pretty much anywhere I go, I try and find a boat ramp and get a video done. And the amount of community involvement. If you go to the left here, there's another one over the other side. All this sort of little feedback. So if you get on there and have a look, definitely check out the comments, because a lot of people then add local knowledge to it.
Yeah.
And build it up. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, nice, mate. Nice. Hey, I think we're coming sort of towards the end of the conversation, mate. It's been a fucking hectic story.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's been good.
Hearing everything that you sort of been through with, wanting to get into politics, heading off to the army, leaving the army, doing a bit of truck driving, doing your e-learning, starting Team Tooney. It's fucking phenomenal what you've been doing.
Yeah, it's probably ADHD, to be honest. I just can't sit still, and I'm just looking for the next best thing, but no, really enjoying it.
No, awesome, mate. I've got some guest questions to finish off if you can. So first off, mate, what advice can you give to people about completing their goals in life? If they're personal, professional, people want to join the army, if people want to get into fishing, what advice can you give?
As a blanket, block the noise and just run full tilt at it. With the military, I always suggest try doing something you can't do on the outside. I know a lot of people who drive trucks on the outside go, I'll just go be a truckie in the army.
Yep.
Why? You can make more money on the outside than you can in the army. Go do something you can't do anywhere else, whether it's tank driving or parachuting or something like that. Go live.
Would you recommend Defence Force as a job to someone coming out of high school?
100%.
Yep.
I absolutely loved it. There's bad stories, but I think that's in any organisation.
Yep.
But from my experience, I had an awesome time.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Now, when you're not doing Team Tooney, when you're not driving trucks, when you're not doing e-learning, what is something you like to get up to in your spare time?
I love my lawn.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a bit of a lawny.
Yeah, right.
I think that me and a couple of mates have a Facebook group or chat where we just throw shade at each other for how bad their hedges look or something like that. But no, absolutely love getting into the lawn and
bit of lawn porn,
getting it squared away.
Yeah. Is there any certain things you're running, like cylinder mowers?
I've got a self-propelled Honda at the moment because I'm on 900 squares, so it's quite a big space.
Yeah.
I would love to re-turf it to be able to then get the cylinder mower in. But financially, I'm just not there.
Yeah.
I'd rather go take the boat out, put some fuel in, and go flick lures. So it's just wild grass, mate, and just keeping it looking nice.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you sort of spoke on it before, but what are your plans for the near future?
Just to get out more. Get out, live a little bit more, get the adventures happening, whether it's forbian, fishing, camping, and try and get a few more coordinated trips up and get yourself, the 2PK boys up here, and get out there and have a good sesh, whether it's on the boat or on the mud.
Oh, mate, next time, I got a four-wheel drive, got a Hilux, so, mate, I'll be there any day fishing. You need to let me know next time you get out on the boat, I'll come with you.
Is your manual or auto?
Auto.
Yes, sweet. So you can throw it in neutral when I have to pull you out and be good to go.
Hey, we went to Fraser, and Taylor's stepfather, he's got a Colorado, like souped up, had all the glam done to it and all that sort of stuff. I had to pull him out of a bog hole. Stock Hilux, pretty much.
There you go, mate. There you go.
Now, you've been a pretty open book this whole chat, but what is something that people don't know about you?
I actually brought this up at a corporate event recently that when I was in primary school, I found a human skull. Just to add to the stories that you've heard today.
Fucking hell, tell me about that.
So we were on a camp trip in year 7, year 8. So it was high school. It was year 7 or year 8. We were down at Ulladulla. So we're down at Ulladulla and we're snorkeling on a camping trip with school. And me and some mates saw a fish swim under a rock. And we're like, let's see if we can get it. So we swim down and we flip it, and it's the top half of a skull. The bottom jaw wasn't there. And all I remember was the three of us just bubbles. We were like, what the hell? And then it got to the point where we're like, all right, well, let's take it back. So we went back down and we put it in. I had a rashie on, so we took my rashie off, threw the skull in it and took it back to the bank. And the teacher's like, what the? So police came, like divers came. There was a massive investigation involved with it. And we found out later on, mind you, I lost my rashie too, they kept that. But found out later on that it was an old Aboriginal burial ground and that it was potentially the skull of a 6-year-old girl from that region because the erosion had just come in through the ocean in that area.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, a little bit of...
Fuck, yeah, that's definitely something I would not know. And that's why we have these podcasts. We learn all new things. Now, I ask a question to everyone. This question is always different for every guest because it's just a question that's sort of tailored to the person's story. So what's something that you learned in the army that you took into Team Tooney?
Probably... tenacity. Like, don't be afraid to take the fight head on.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Whether that's setting up your business, the challenges you face, the amount of criticism I copped from friends and family, like, what are you wasting your time, your money and all that jazz on? And just when you've got your objective, seek it and achieve it.
Yep, 100%. Love that. Mate, you've committed a crime and it's gotten you death row. What's the last movie you watch and the last meal you eat? Can be a TV show.
I'd probably go, and I think this because I apply it now, I have children, but Law Abiding Citizen.
Yeah, okay. That's with
Jared Butler.
Yep.
Either that or The Patriot. That's a
great movie.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Epic. Meal, it's got to be some barbecue, brisket, ribs, something like that.
Have you been to Rusty Penny?
No, I haven't.
Oh, mate. Get down to Rusty Penny.
I've been on their podcast twice now, and now I hear everyone gets invited. Like, Uber's paid for, they get taken for feeds. I'm like, these dudes are like, I had to take my own beer last time I went on their podcast. I was like, these guys have stepped it up. I'm gonna have to get back down there and have a crack.
Well, I said to Langham, because we're always planning to make the trip down to Sydney. I said, mate, look, I'll come down. I'll do 3 podcasts with you guys. I'll do Tristo, Langham, and Major.
Yep.
And then after that, we'll jump on and do an episode with you guys.
Yep.
So it was a fucking long day. I think I got there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we ended up leaving Majors at like 5:30. I was cooked afterwards, but we were just all fanging just to get to Rusty Penny, and we
I don't blame you.
Got there and whew.
Actually, there's a really good barbecue joint at Cow Bar. 2 mates, Shano runs it.
Okay.
Best I've had around.
All right.
In this region, definitely.
You'll have to send me the link and I'll go check it out.
Yeah, go check them out. They're good.
Yeah. And that's a message to Major and Langham. Next time Tooney's down there, mate, just take him to the fucking Rusty Penny.
Yeah, you fucking tight asses. Let's
go. Now, 3 people dead or alive you sit down and have dinner with, and why?
Steve Irwin's got to be on there. It's almost like, I feel like I see things about Rob killing it at the moment. I'm like, it's almost like the uncle you never had. Like, you've always felt a part of the family, never been been actually related. 3 people. I think someone along the lines of Richard Branson would be really interesting from a business perspective.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a third. Maybe John Howard.
Yeah, okay. Did you ever meet him when you were going through Parliament?
Briefly.
Yeah.
Very, very briefly. But to actually be able to sit down and have a yarn would be interesting.
Yep. So Steve Irwin, Richard Branson, John Howard.
Yep.
It's nice thruple there. Now, this is a bit more of a serious question, but 100 years after we're gone, we've left this earth, how would you like to be remembered?
As an epic, probably by then, great-grandfather.
Yeah.
No, honestly, everything I do now is for my family. If I can get Team Tooney Fishing off the ground, my goal is to employ my kids. Or,
Yep.
You know what I mean? At least offer that ability for my kids to then take something and run with it. If they do, they do. If not, sell it, make some coin and go live life.
Yeah.
But everything I do now is to purely set them up.
Yep. I had, and this is a few episodes ago, I had Maddie on from Country Duds.
Yep.
And I sort of asked her that question, and she said something to do, because obviously she has her clothing brand, but she wanted to create generational wealth.
Yeah.
So it helps her kids out, and it sort of just feeds down the line as well.
Yep. I think that's important these days, and I think it's getting to that point where you almost have to, otherwise, if you're not thinking of setting them up now, you could get, like, it's hard for us now. Imagine what's going to be like for them.
Yep. Something that I didn't touch on, which I usually do touch on, mate, run me through fatherhood and how that is for you.
You know what?
Because usually when I come towards the end of the podcast, I usually finish it with like a happy feel good story, and usually it's how you met your wife or you met your partner, but you sort of explain that you gave her a kiss and then she hit you up on MySpace, but we didn't really talk about fatherhood. So how's fatherhood for you, mate?
I absolutely love it. It's been the best job I've ever had, and I think it's helped me get over the military.
Yep.
100%. I do not remember life before them. Weirdly enough, like, you know what I mean?
Like, I'm in the same boat, eh?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it's like they've always been there. And if I was to go back, the hole it would leave, like it's purpose. It's the reason everything gets done now.
Yep.
Is them.
How old are your kids?
6 and 3.
6 and 3. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know. I love it. Absolutely. It's tiring. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Especially with my youngest now, because it's just 0 fucks given.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
A boy and girl?
Yeah, boy's youngest.
Boy's youngest, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he's just like, don't touch that. My daughter will be like, okay, cool. Dad said don't touch it. My boy's like, what'll happen if I do? You know what I mean? Like, he's
my
just
daughter's
got
like that. She actually just turned 3 yesterday.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so she's just a fucking menace.
Yeah, I love it. But you're like, oh, you pull your hair out, but you're like, it's fun too. Like, you're like, good. Like, I'm glad he's got a bit of kick.
Yeah, 100%. Now, mate, bit of reflection. Obviously we get so caught up and we're so busy in life that we don't get to sit down and reflect or smell the roses, as people like to say. So, mate, for you today, what's it been like to sit down and reflect on the journey that you've been through to where you've gotten to today?
Humbling.
Yeah,
humbling. Definitely. Like, I look back and I'm like, I know I've done a lot. To actually sit back and talk about it, there's like a level of appreciation with it. You're just like, cool. But also, gives me credibility that I'm where I am and I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And it's also too, and I've said this on a lot of, podcasts, especially with guests that do have kids, in 10 to 20 years time, when your kids have grown up and they, start to get into the social media side of things, they start listening to things, they can, at that time they can go on and they can listen to what dad has done, what dad's been through. And the good thing about this is it's not anyone else. It's not your friends. It's not your family telling your kids about what you went through.
Yep.
It's you, it's your voice. And that's why I say at the start, you know, I'm here to give a platform for real people to share their real stories in their own voice.
Yep.
So your kids can hear your story from your voice and you know, appreciate sort of everything that you've done, you know, to this day. And I'm sure in a year's time, or six months or a year's time, we'll get you back on. We'll get an update on where Team Tooney's at. But yeah, it just sort of gives them that sort of thing for them to listen to and sort of know what you've been through.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said to you off air, is I learn about my mates on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been awesome. So that was a big driver for me to be here today. I even said to the missus, I'm like, this will be something the kids can listen to if anything ever happens.
Yep.
If I'm lost at sea fishing, chasing a big one, then they can jump on here and know I was happy doing it.
Yeah. Speaking of chasing a big one, marlin, have you ever tried anything around that?
Man, Soldier On, another charity, we're running free marlin fishing trips annually out of Newcastle. I was on the list both times and had to pull out, and they've never run one since.
Oh.
So no, I haven't, but I'd love to.
Yep. Have you caught any barra or anything like that?
Barra I have, yeah. So my brother-in-law lives in Townsville, and then my missus' cousin lives up near Gladstone. So
yeah, okay.
we get the ability to get out there and head up there. So I'm trying to get up to Gladstone in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Because they've got Lake. Oh, I can't even think of the name of it. It'll
Lake
come to me.
Monjourn? Is it?
No.
Awonga. Oh, okay. I think the one I'm thinking of is near like Bundaberg.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. No, he's Awonga. And then we want to try and get off to the islands a little bit. So if we can get up there and have a bit of a flick, it'd be funny to run into the alpha blokes with their bloody, what are their lures they're running?
Oh, the alpha lures?
Yeah. So it'd be funny to get up there and give them a bit of stick if we see them out and about, and the dams have been getting out a bit lately. So keen to get up there and have a bit of a flick.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Awesome. Social media reach out. People want to get in contact with you if they want to buy some merch, if they want to check out Team Tooney Fishing, where can they find you?
Definitely, mate. So www.teamtooney.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and predominantly YouTube. So jump on there. Instagram's our main platform, but we're across
Do you
the majority of them.
TikTok?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yep.
I love film. I think I've posted a few of me doing a bit of carpool karaoke every now and then. So it's good fun.
On the way to fishing.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep, just carving up.
Yep. No, awesome, mate. Mate, this has been a hell of a chat. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's coming up to almost near 8 o'clock, so we've had a pretty good chat. I can't thank you enough for making the drive out here and you know, sharing your story with us.
No, thanks for making the time and allowing me to be here. Appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Alrighty, guys, that is another episode done and dusted. Make sure you be kind, stay humble, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Reds Walk podcast.
Cheers, man.
No worries.
Yeah, it's funny, the variety of stuff when you start talking about it, like I said, it's kind of like ADHD.
Yeah, it's Team Tooney Fishing with reviews. Crack a beer, you know we're here. Tell us what's the news, what's the plan, where to land. Now you gotta listen and don't forget, this is Team Tooney Fishing.